Foles? Where does that end up? It's so far down the road. Let's just enjoy the ride with Minshew. But, hey, if you want to talk about it, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. Coos is back. Hope you had a good week there in the big state of Texas.
It was a good time.
Didn't swallow you up?
I had a whole lot of barbecue.
Yeah,
smart.
That's
Very
a good
smart
thing to do. Coos, did you come back with a lot of different ways to enhance our show or just your show?
Both.
Okay.
But a lot of what they were already telling us to do, at least we're doing it.
We're ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Tell them. Did you go there and
good.
did you kind of brag about us in Texas?
I did a lot of bragging. Like, a lot of the higher ups were like, you wanna come up to Atlanta and show us how you do that? And I was like, if you'll pay for me to be up there, I'll come show you.
I feel that we were gonna lose Coos to like the big time. We're kind of like the small school kids right now, and there's like a private school recruiting Coos to go big time.
That's all right.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I'd be more than happy to lose Coos to the big time.
He's going to IMG Academy.
Same thing's gonna happen to you someday, man.
No,
I'm
man.
convinced about it. You'll be on ESPN in Madison, Wisconsin.
No, man,
or
I'm
you'll be in
staying
Bristol,
here.
Connecticut. The only guy going nowhere is me.
Nah, I'm not right here.
I'm going absolutely nowhere.
Just give it 2 weeks, but to be on Barstool Sports, just leave us all behind. I can't wait to hear it.
The big question is, are the Jags now going somewhere?
Yeah.
2-2 is a big difference between 1 and 3. How ironic, because who was it on Thursday Night Football that said it? Who played Thursday night this week? Beat Green Bay. Philadelphia.
Green Bay
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, sure.
So Carson Wentz, we ran the soundbite on Friday where he said, hey, it's a big difference in the NFL going 1 and 3 and 2 and 2. And, I feel you.
Yeah.
I hear him. I think he's exactly right about that. This would have been a tough one to swallow for the Jags. You run for almost 300 yards. You have the lead late, and then you relinquish it with your defense and not come back and win. So they found a way to do it. Where do you stand right now on where this season is? Exactly where it should be for the Jags? Maybe feel better than you thought you might?
Yeah.
I mean, think about all that's changed, right? Nick Foles isn't the quarterback everybody anticipated him to be, but other teams now aren't what they anticipated them to be either. I mean, no Drew Brees in a couple weeks, no Cam Newton this week. Kyle Allen will get the start again. So it's just the way it is in the NFL. But I said 2-2 and 3-3 after 4 games and 6 games, and the Jags are now on pace. I feel pretty good about where they're at.
Yeah. After watching that Broncos game, they're 2-2 right now, 500. I forgot what you predicted them at. I think I predicted them at 8-8 for the regular season, if I'm not mistaken.
I
think you might have won
had 9-7.
Yeah,
I had 9-7.
Yeah. So listen, if we're 4 games in right now, and you tell me at the beginning of the season that Nick Foles goes down, I would have said, oh man, 1-3, maybe 0-4. I figured the defense would be playing well, but the offense is kind of the same thing over and over again. And that's not the case at all. It's almost like the offense kind of picked up the defense a little bit yesterday. And
hasn't happened much around here like that.
And I'm going to be honest with you. When it was halftime 17-6, the Jaguars were going to the locker room. My son turns to me. He's like, Dad, are the Jags going to win? I honestly turned to him like, Bud, I don't know, man. Because I've seen this story one too many times. Where they're down. Can they mount a comeback? Von Miller was eating a little bit. Chubb looked like he wanted to get some more sacks as well. They were running the ball okay at the time, I thought. Nothing great, and obviously they couldn't pass block. So with all those things considered, I was like, man, this is the game that Denver is gonna go out and win a ball game, and now Denver's gonna get all the momentum, and Jacksonville's coming back to town, 1-3. And then what happened the second half? You saw John DeFilippo stick to his guns. He chose to run the ball down Denver's throat, and they did. Leonard Fournette had a big day, and then Gardner Minshew, man. It's just you can't say it enough. And I kind of talked about this on the takeaways segment a little bit last night, where whatever, stats. I think he was like 19 of 33 or whatever it was.
Actually, his worst day, I think, completion percentage-wise.
Threw 2 touchdowns, fantastic. But didn't turn the ball over, made plays happen when the pocket was closing. Like, those are the things that you may not see in the stat box, the ability I don't know how he got in Von Miller's reach, and then found the open man twice. You don't see those things in the stat box, but they make so much of a difference, obviously, in the game. And now we're sitting here talking about where, Minshew, and I get it, Brent, let's not get ahead of ourselves with Foles, like you said. But Minshew looks like the real deal. Going to Denver, a tough place to play, the elevation, the altitude, and facing some adversity early on, getting sacked 5 times. You kidding me? And his response to it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't say enough about what he's been doing. And what they've done around him. I think they've elevated their games at times in different facets of the game, but he is just fun to watch. You know, he is the guy that other teams have had and the Jags have not. He is the story that, like, What do you mean? You pick Blake Bortles 3rd overall and some other quarterback comes in and he looks like this.
Yeah.
You know, or Dak Prescott, 4th round guy, he looks like this. And Baker Mayfield's a different story in terms of where he's drafted, but Baker Mayfield last year kind of was like that guy, like looked a little bit like that. Lamar Jackson earlier in the season for the first couple of games, even though they didn't play anybody. So it's been other teams that have had that guy that's like, where did this guy come from?
Sure.
And we can't get one guy here in Jacksonville to do it. Well, guess what, Jacksonville? You've got that guy. I mean, think about it. You have that guy right now that is making headlines across the NFL, that is making plays for you in the National Football League, that even if you think it's a fluky doesn't happen 4 weeks in a row in the NFL, and this guy has made plays. Now, he hasn't been lights out for every single quarter, every single snap of his career so far in the NFL this first month.
Yeah,
he hasn't.
and that's okay.
But when they need to make a play, he seems to make a play. When they need to avoid a disaster, he seems to avoid the disaster. You know, one of the great plays I thought he made yesterday, this shows you the smarts. Yep. He made a bunch of miraculous plays that were really great. I mean, unbelievable. And his poise in the pocket. You know, we have 2 different angles. You know, we get the TV angle where everybody else is watching. And then our guys, Marcel Robinson was on the trip with me, and he shoots it from a low angle. And I watched it from the low angle, and it doesn't even do it justice. You almost have to watch it from the high angle to see all the traffic he was in. But when you watch it from the low angle, what you see is just no panic. Now, I think you get that even off the high angle, but I'm saying when you see kind of an up close look at him and his footwork in the pocket, and he's got 2 hands on the football the whole time, and he's protecting that thing, and he knows the situation, kind of already in field goal range. You know, as long as you don't turn the ball over, you're fine, and then still keeps his eyes up. But so it was fascinating to me to watch it the low angle and the high angle a little bit later on again and see all of that. But the play I want to talk about that won't get any talk, but I think shows a lot about Gardner Minshew and where he's at from a mental standpoint and how much he understands the game. It was, I want to say, remember they took the touchdown off the board with Chris Conley late in the first half after the interception.
Due to the penalty with Jawan Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they take it off the board. And I think it ends up setting up like a 2nd and 16 and then a 3rd and 16.
Yeah.
My numbers might be off a little bit, but they're still like in field goal range. They end up kicking the field goal. But on 3rd down, they pass the ball. But he passed the ball. He gets pressure a little bit. He steps up in the pocket, and he has some folks down in the middle of the field. I don't even know who the receiver was, but he's well covered. You remember he bounced it into the turf. He literally bounced it into the turf like 5 yards short of the receiver because he didn't even want to put it in jeopardy, put it in harm's way. I'm just telling you, man, I don't know if quarterbacks that are 3 and 4 games into their NFL career and maybe 3 or 4 years into their NFL career don't try to push that issue, force that issue, and try to get it even on 3rd and 16, even though you already know you're in field goal range. I thought there was something special about that play that I caught on, and I think it says a lot about where he is. The game is slow for him, which is a very cool thing.
Well, and he's not trying to impress anybody, right? Like, a rookie quarterback would probably go out there and be like, I got to make this play. You know, I was featured in NFL Sunday Countdown for about 12 minutes. Yeah. All eyes are on me right now. I got to go out there and make the play. No, he's like, you know what? I'm not too big for this moment. We're just going to, I'll throw the ball away, kick the field goal, and we'll go from there. And we'll try to win the game at the end. Like, yeah, it's like you said, like, it's the little things, I mean, obviously the big things stand out as well, but it's the little things that you don't really talk about that much that makes him so appealing as a starting quarterback. And listen, and I can't say it enough. Call it moxie, just call it savviness, or just, calling it having big cojones to stand in the pocket like he does. But like anytime, for instance, Chubb had a sack early, I think in the 2nd quarter or so, and it was low, right? Like remember when Minshew kind of went at the ref a little bit?
To the ref.
Complained to the ref.
Rightfully so.
As he probably should have. That probably should have been flagged. If it was Tom Brady, probably would have got that call.
I think he'll get fined for that, Chubb.
Yeah, well, he's out for the season anyway, so if you really cares about that.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a bad day for Chubb. I think he does get fined for that, and he is out for the year now with an ACL.
But my point is, as a quarterback, when you feel those kind of hits, right, like, it didn't probably do any damage, but the fact that you felt someone go low on your knee, like, that sticks with you, man.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the pocket, your internal clock, it probably goes off a little faster. But for Minshew, it didn't. Like, he didn't let that play affect him. He didn't let getting sacked a couple times affect him. He still stood in there. He still, stared down the receiver. and he still did his thing. I'm like, that, I can't say that enough, how there's so many quarterbacks in the NFL, especially rookie quarterbacks, that get gun shy, that get hit one time or that, get close to getting sacked, and that's it for him. All of a sudden, 2 seconds, I'm throwing the ball wherever it is. I don't care because I'm not getting sacked again. Minshew doesn't do that. Minshew tries to make a play happen every single time he's on the field, and if it's not there, he throws the ball away.
Who is this guy? Really, who is he? Who's he most like? What other quarterbacks even comp to him? How much can you enjoy the ride? Is this just a flash in the pan, even though he's been consistent through 4 weeks, and I don't think it's fluky? There's a difference between fluky and also guys that can't sustain it. Can he sustain the way he's playing football right now? Will the league adjust? And I'll have to be honest with myself here, because I always say, whether it's Watson or Mayfield or Lamar Jackson or everybody else, the league does punch back.
Sure.
And so will they punch back against Gardner Minshew? Let's talk more about Minshew, and I do have a concern this week about Minshew. I'll tell you that coming up next on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Jump on in if you want, ** 690 or 904-362-9901. Oh, it's a lot of fun to talk about a Jags win on the road at Denver. They're now 2-2.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny and warm today with an isolated shower. Highs will be in the upper 80s. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds that guarantees you a $500 gift card if they can't beat anybody's price on a diamond.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with a licensed local expert with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
Time to register for the 16th annual USO Armed Forces Half Marathon and Freedom 5K, one of the premier running events in the Southeast. It all happens Saturday, October 12th, starting at Metro Park. It's a family-friendly event featuring high-tech military vehicles and prizes. Proceeds benefit the Jacksonville USO and other military charities. The USO Armed Forces Half Marathon and Freedom 5K, happening October 12th. Don't wait. Register today online at jaxusohalfmarathon.com.
The First Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce invites you to the 4th Annual Hispanic Heritage Gala, where it will award 10 deserving local college students of Hispanic descent with the Achieving the Dream Scholarship. The Black and Teal Affair is sponsored by the Jacksonville Jaguars and will take place at TIAA Bank Field Friday, October 11th. For ticket information, sponsorship opportunities, and scholarship donation, call 904-707-1374 or visit fchcc.com.
The Stephen A. Smith Show.
I don't know what would make him think I would care
about it. I don't give a damn whether I'm blocked on Instagram or not. Not like I tried to Instagram him directly. Ain't nobody thinking about trying to post something on his page.
The Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
I'm Kevin Hardy, former All-Pro linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is Action Sports Jax.
Feeling good, man. Glory to God. That was an incredible team win, awesome experience with those guys, just celebrating. A lot of times you take for granted, what wins feel like and that celebration with teammates. So that was an awesome experience.
Well, that is Gardner Minshew, and it's just been unbelievable. The numbers are crazy. The numbers are so good. 95-plus rating, 200 yards passing plus, which in this day and age, over 200 yards passing isn't really anything to shake a stick at. Mm-hmm. But the consistency of it, the completion percentage for the most part has been good. Yesterday dipped off significantly, but I think he's 69% of his passes.
Take that all day.
They're going to say nice. 4 games in a row is a franchise record for 200 yards plus and a 95 rating. Mm-hmm. So it's really good stuff. Okay, so what's my concern about Gardner Minshew? I think he was hurting last night.
Really?
I think he was hurting.
I mean,
did you see?
He
I don't
made
know
it
what
pretty
they showed.
evident at the end, towards the end of the game on that last drive.
Well, he got hit on
took
the last
a shot.
drive. Yeah, he took a shot, but I don't. See, I didn't see the last 2 minutes on TV. I was down on the field. Okay. That's not a humble brag, by the way. I'm just saying I was down on the field, so you missed them.
A little bit of a brag. It's all right, though.
It was fun down there.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure it was.
But it's such a different vantage point. And when they start the drive, they're some 60 yards away from me, where I am. Mm-hmm. So I can't – you can't really see. Like, I had to look at the Jumbotron even when the roughing the passer.
Okay.
And I even asked somebody in the stands, like, did he hit him in the face?
Yeah.
Like, so you couldn't – there's just so many bodies flying from the angle I was at. And then on top of that, so I couldn't really see exactly how he got hit. Mm-hmm. But then as they got closer, and the last few plays, I mean, he was nursing that thing now. I mean, like, really, we've all seen it before when you're trying to fight through something. Yeah. And he was fighting through it. That he could hardly put weight. It was an adrenaline play for him. And again, I don't know how much the TV showed of that. I'm sure they kind of noted it. Yeah. But he was hurting. And I think now he had ice on later. They always go through it. You know how it is, right? They go through X-rays. He would have been on he wasn't on crutches or anything like that. So that's a good sign.
So are we talking more, because we didn't really clarify, are we talking knee, like ankle, foot?
Well, he had the ice on the knee.
Okay.
He had the ice on the knee area.
Gotcha.
So again, they haven't diagnosed. He dismissed it in the post-game presser. So nobody's like making it a big deal. And I don't want to necessarily make it a big deal. Sure. I'm just going to tell you what I saw, and that is that he was slow moving.
Well, and what it came across on the TV broadcast was more of like his ribs, right? Because he gets hit low and he gets hit high from the opposite angle. So it seemed like it was his ribs that were doing the more damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's just again, I don't want to alarm anybody. I just think it's worth, they got today off, they got tomorrow off, they'll get treatment on it. It might be just the thing.
Sure. But
he battled through it. And with adrenaline, you can battle through. And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, dang, this hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just say keep an eye on it. Yeah. And I think he's going to play. I think all that stuff, unless you see something coming out. I don't want to be an alarmist. I'm just saying I don't want to dismiss the fact that he was hurting. Mm-hmm. And that only adds to it. It felt a little Willis Reed-esque. Yeah. I mean, he didn't come back in the game. But, I mean, he was really hurting that last drive and still able to gut through it. And I think there's a lot of respect anytime a football player does that, especially at that position.
And listen, and I would be remiss to say, he may have got a cheap shot in, when he hit Minshew low, but Bradley Chubb at the same time, tearing his ACL and playing through that. Yeah. And then you could tell as he walked off the sidelines, he had tears in his eyes. So that kind of made you think like, I've seen a lot of cramps in my lifetime. It was probably more than a cramp, but I wasn't expecting him to tear his ACL, man. So since we're talking about, injuries and being tough, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't give at least Bradley Chubb some props for going out there with a torn ACL and still trying to do the dang thing. Absolutely. So props to him as well, man.
All right. Hey, star 690 is the number, 904-362-9901 to get in. And how about the guys that went out to Denver? Guys and gals, kids, everybody went out to Denver. What a big crowd for the Bold City Brigade and then some. Cool to see a lot of the folks out there. Nice job by them. And right now, Jacksman is on the line here at Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Says he's still in Denver, hopefully sober, coherent, and all of the above. What's up?
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Nah, just here, my flight don't leave out till midnight, so I had to waste some time. But,
well, thanks for wasting it with us, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. What a fun game, huh?
Well, yeah, I'm telling you, I was right there in that end zone. I was right about right where you were, actually. So, but that was awesome, man. That was a crazy game. I want to give props to Lambeau for sure. That man was poised on every single kick. And that wind was it picked up as soon as we went to go kick, and I'm like, oh, no. So, it was, calm for the whole fourth quarter until he wanted to kick, I swear.
Hey, Jax, man, that's a good point. And you said you were down there. You saw me where I was?
Yeah, I kind of see about where you were.
Okay, so down at that point when they stopped the clock and before they were going to kick, the wind had actually died down quite a bit. But right when they ran out of the field and kind of set up, it swirled again. And it was a swirling wind. It wasn't straight one way or the other. And so it was gusting. I didn't think it was incredibly bad, especially for a short kick. But I would say it was swirling by the time they set that ball and he kicked it away. So not an easy kick, even though it was a short one.
Yeah, definitely. And props to all the fans that came out. We had a huge, different groups. But I tell you, they're loud in that stadium. That's for sure.
They are. It's a good place.
You can really feel the seats move. That's how crazy it was.
Yes. Hey, man, thanks for calling in. We appreciate you checking in on the show, and make sure you have a safe flight home, okay?
Definitely. Y'all be safe.
All right.
Thank you,
Jax, man, checking in from Denver in the airport. He's right about that. It's a good fan base.
Yeah.
It's a good place. It's a nice stadium, really cool stadium. But they beat the heck out of those bleachers or whatever. They pound them. Yeah. And in the press box, you can hear it all above. And,
that's cool.
I remember seeing the old Mile High when I was a kid, and the Patriots would play, and they would have the play. I think it was probably the year they went to the Super Bowl, and the cameras on the network would shake.
Okay.
In the old Mile High Stadium.
Sure.
And so when Denver, with Carl Mecklenburg and Elway and all those kind of guys, I mean, the camera would literally be shaking. The place would be shaking.
Yeah.
So they are a good fan base. I mean, they've seen a lot of good football. They've had a lot of good players go through there. The place is obviously filled with orange jerseys. The Jags had a ton of folks there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that made that trip, but it was hard to see because there's so much orange. But a shout out to the Jags fans for making that trip. I tweeted this yesterday. Those guys, the Bold City Brigade, and so many others that make those trips and find a trip. You've seen some duds. You spend your money, you go out there and you see some duds. Well, this is one that you can tell your kids about. You'll remember. You'll be talking about it 10 years from now. That was a fun game. You'll be talking about Minshew. You'll be talking about Fournette. I was there for 225.
Yeah.
And the comeback win. And that actually made me feel good for those folks that go out and spend their money on those trips. And they have fun no matter what. But it's pretty cool that they got to see a good one.
Speaking of the fan experience and everything, I'm not sure how you thought about it, but this is just my opinion watching on the TV. Shout out to the Denver Broncos for having the most annoying sound on third and whatever it was, because every single time the horse, the horse going neigh. I mean, I thought that the Viking horn in Minnesota was the most annoying thing. But that horse, man, because it'd be on TV and all of a sudden, nowhere, here comes a horse neighing and screaming. I don't know, man. Maybe think of something a little better than just a horse neighing. Doesn't really strike fear into me if I'm playing football. Didn't strike fear into me watching the game. Just kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's kind of their thing, man.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying.
All right. So how about say this? Who does he remind? I've said this countless times. In fact, I'm going to try to get Doug Flutie on the phone in the next couple of days or in the next week. I'm working on it.
Nice.
Because to me, again, you got to remember, I grew up in New England. One of my first memories ever was Flutie Hail Mary against Miami, 1984. But then it was after that where Flutie really caught on this kind of stuff. There was the Flutie Flakes in Buffalo. He played for a little bit in New England. This little dude running around. Nobody thought he could play. Just about your average-looking guy. And by the way, Minshew is an average-looking guy. He doesn't look like this 1% athlete guy.
Yeah.
And so it reminds me of that, the magical stuff, the how did he do that kind of stuff, the fun ride we're on here in Jacksonville right now. It reminds me of Flutie. Yet I ask other folks, and people will say Drew Brees because he gets the ball
That's
out.
a good one.
He's accurate. He's 6 feet tall or 6'1", so he's more of that stature.
Yep.
He's able to find lanes. He's crafty. So I like the Drew Brees comp. For me personally, the whole thing of it, Drew Brees never had this kind of, he was just good, Drew Brees never had this crazy mania, this cult following all of a sudden. I think Brees was just Brees.
Yeah, but to be fair, though, Brees was kind of on the back nine of his career, getting ready to exit the league, and Peyton took a chance on him because he had that shoulder thing going on with the Chargers. Peyton takes a chance on him, goes to New Orleans, and like has like a reawakening, you know? So I think, you know, the city, I mean, while they may not have felt it in Jacksonville, I feel like the city of New Orleans definitely had Drew Brees mania for a while.
Well, then that's a fair point. That's a really good point. Yeah, it's kind of a different craze, but I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
That's a good point to say what New Orleans felt there.
Sure.
Excellent point. Jack Stan, by the way, also said Tony Romo. Interesting. I kind of like that. Let's stay on the topic. Who does he remind you of? And really the bigger thing is, what's the staying power of this?
Of course.
And by the way, we got a ton more to get to. Fournette, offensive line, penalties,
Fournette, the player of the game.
We will. Is he really, though, or is Minshew?
Oh, I'm putting Fournette player of the game, hands down.
Start 690 if you want to jump in. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. Jags pulled a 2-2 for the season yesterday after a dramatic comeback in the Mile High City, resulting in a four-way tie for first in the AFC South Division. Leonard Fournette had a whale of a day, toting the rock for 225 yards and receiving for another 20. All of this while Jalen Ramsey watched from the sideline. Here's Leonard Fournette with praise for his teammates.
Armstead, our coach, did a great job, too. You know, coming in when I needed a break. His breakout game, he stole my touchdown too. So, I mean, I'm happy for everyone all over the board. You know, and in spite of the adversity that we have going on, this team is a fighting team, no matter what nobody says.
And it's playoff time in the big leagues with 2 wild card games this week: Milwaukee and Washington tomorrow night, and Oakland and Tampa on Wednesday. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while at work by listening on ESPN690.com.
We're local, you're local, shop local. This holiday season, shop local retailers right here in the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our own community.
Shop the 904.
Powered by Cox Media Group.
Hey, boss, how's it going?
Don't even talk to me.
Uh-oh, sounds like you're having a moment.
It's not a moment. It's just been one of those days.
Boss, what happened?
So I'm driving around doing errands and stuff. I counted 14 Safe Touch security signs while I was out. 14!
Well, I guess word's out that Safe Touch is the best.
I mean, there's Safe Touch signs in yards, Safe Touch stickers on drive-through windows, Safe Touch on billboards, Safe Touch on the radio. I'm about to lose my mind!
Boss, it's okay. There's still plenty of houses out there without Safe Touch.
Yeah, but the more people hear about the two-way communicator, the guaranteed response time, the crash and smash.
What do kids say these days? Safe Touch is going viral. Kind of funny when you think about it.
I hate Safe Touch!
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
The response to Beards Diamond's 5 years, 0 interest with no money down has been so spectacular, we're extending it till the end of September.
This is the best deal of the summer.
Take advantage of the rock bottom prices Beards is known for and spread your payment out over 5 full years without paying a dime of interest.
How about a $6,000 Tacori or Veragio ring? You pay just $100 a month. Or a pair of diamond studs for $3,000? You pay just $50 a month.
Take advantage of this incredible offer being extended till the end of September, but only at Beards Diamonds.
Get her that designer setting she's been dreaming about and spread your payments out over 60 months.
Don't miss out on this incredible financing offer. Just divide your total price by 60, and that's what you'll pay a month.
Beards Jewelry, located at the St. John's Town Center.
Visit beardsdiamonds.com. See the difference. Save thousands.
Is today the day it'll finally stop raining?
We sure hope so, but it's been a very wet summer so far. This is Mike with Big Fish Roofing. Don't forget, your roof is the first line of defense against the elements. Here at Big Fish Roofing, as an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor, we are locally owned and we drive our business with quality and integrity. We do not require any down payments until your roof project is complete. You can find us at bigfishroofing.com or facebook.com/bigfishroofing. We are the roofers you can trust. We are Big Fish Roofing.
Sí, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
How do you feel about the guy like Stugatz who says the phrase in casual parlance, swipes 40 bags for you a season?
Oh, that's what you have to say. What are you talking about? You're the weird one here, Dan.
How else would you say it? Put it on the poll. Swipes 40 bags a season. Jerk or no jerk?
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Sí, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
You know where you win games, Dan? In the trenches on Sundays.
Appreciate all your thoughts on this matter.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Just shows our resilience, you know. We're never going to count ourselves out. We're just going to keep plugging even when things don't go our way early. It's okay. We have belief in ourselves that, you know, no matter what's going on right now, we believe that we can do it. And that was a fun thing to see as our guys come together and believe to win.
That's Gardner Minshew. He got it done again. Minshew Mania, Minshew Magic, whatever you want to call it, man. The guy's playing good football, and that was so much fun. I will say it again, and I'm going to ask some folks here, and I want you to jump in if you can, and maybe you got a better memory than me. I've been here since 2008, so if you don't mind, I'm just going back to 2008. I understand early on, the first handful of years, and even probably in the early 2000s, there were some really good wins for the Jags on the road in the regular season. I'm talking regular season now, so this eliminates that Pittsburgh win in the postseason.
Yeah.
But show me a game that the Jaguars won like this in the regular season since I've been here in 2008. And two of them come to mind. And again, this is on the road I'm talking about. I mean, heck, you might be hard-pressed to find it at home, too. But there's been a couple of walk-off field goals at home with Scobie and with Lambeau recently, even with Jason Myers, I believe. I had the big play. Remember when Jared Odrick against the Dolphins, I think, made a big play. But I'm talking like relinquish the lead, drive down the field like half the teams do weekly in the NFL.
Yeah.
Find me that game. And what you'll give me is most likely that Baltimore win that was crazy in 2015 when they got the face mask on Bortles. But that wasn't really a drive. They got lucky there. They got the end of the game face mask, and that's fine. You need to get lucky sometimes. And then they boot a 50-whatever-yard field goal. I think it was 56 from Myers. Well, the other one that comes to mind, which technically is a home game, but I would count this as a road game, and I think this is the closest one, is the Buffalo Bills game in London. And that's when they had the big lead.
Yeah.
Their defense dances out to a great start.
Yep.
They relinquish the lead. And Bortles finds Hearns in the end zone late in that game. That was probably most equivalent to this in terms of the back-and-forth nature, driving down the field to win it. And what I forget about the London game is exactly how much time was on the clock.
Sure.
So I'm just saying that's how good of a win it is, man. Like, that is – I told Ty this. I was FaceTiming him last night because we actually, speaking of planes, were delayed. Thank goodness the Jags won because being delayed for 3 hours in Denver, if they had lost that game, would have been a miserable experience.
Well, when you say delayed, like on the plane delayed, or were you guys
we
like
were
in the tarmac
stadium
or whatever? Oh,
no,
in the stadium.
We actually we stayed at the stadium and we watched the game. The Saints. I mean, everybody just huddled. It was probably a good thing for the team. They were playing cars, playing
little
whatever.
Team bonding.
Little team bonding. You know, and so it was actually an okay experience.
Cool.
But again, because you won, there were some cool things that happened too. A quick little story.
Yeah.
Von Miller, way late, was still at the stadium.
Yeah.
And he was leaving the stadium and ran into Josh Allen and Yannick Ngakoue. And before you knew it, Ramsey was out there and Jawan Taylor. And they were all hanging out with Von Miller. Just talking shop, I think.
Yeah. That's cool.
Which was a cool scene.
Yeah.
Kind of unique because usually just for folks that know, we travel with the team and you're in and out. I mean, you get about an hour later, you're on the buses going to the airport.
Of course.
Well, they had a small issue and had to fix it, and so there was delay. But again, because they won, it's okay.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is, I was even telling Ty, I said, Ty, I can't tell you enough how big of a win this is on the road.
Yes.
I mean, they hadn't won in the Pacific or Mountain time zone since 2008, I think it was. I mean, think about all these things. That is a huge win. And when you go from 1-3 to 2-2, and you're still got this backup quarterback. You're trying to find yourself on the offensive line. You're playing without Jalen Ramsey. You have all this stuff going on. And believe me, in a moment, I'm going to talk about Doug Marrone. But not right yet. But we will talk Doug Marrone a little bit. And we will talk Ramsey. We just spent the entire break talking about Ramsey. We'll talk Ramsey in a little bit. But it's just, I don't think you can overstate what a big win that is, because the Jags, again, in their franchise history since I've been covering this football team, they do not win games like this, especially on the road.
Yeah, and I sat here on Thursday and told you, like, listen, if you're following narratives, if you're following, all like what should happen, Denver should win that game, right? Because they're not going to start out 0-4. Their defense is too good not to at least get on the board to get a couple quarterback sacks. And, playing Denver's a tough place to play. So, like, I understand when you look at the Denver team, and I even said, like, their defense doesn't scare me. Their offense is kind of plain, kind of vanilla. Joe Flacco, you don't know what you're getting with Joe Flacco. It's pretty standard. But then all of a sudden, Jalen Ramsey gets, announced that he's out. So then immediately I was like, whoa, that may not be good. Now Emmanuel Sanders may eat a little bit. And Sanders had an okay game. Cortland Sutton kind of had a coming out party a little bit. So to face that adversity as a team, where in the past when the Jaguars have faced adversity, you've seen what's happened, and it's been an absolute nightmare. To face adversity like they did, go into halftime, make the adjustments, come back out, and get the W in Denver, yeah, you can't state enough how big of a win that was for them.
All right, I don't want to get off Gardner Minshew right now. We're going to stay on him for a little bit. I said we brought up Drew Brees, right?
Sure.
I brought up Doug Flutie. Jack Stan brought up Tony Romo. I haven't checked some other responses maybe to Twitter, see if anybody else has jumped in on it. But is he any of those guys? Really, is this guy just his own dude? And I don't mean off the field. I don't mean the Uncle Rico stuff. I'm talking from a football perspective.
I hear you, yeah.
Football perspective, just how unique is this cat? And again, Russell Wilson, you know what they missed? They missed on Russell Wilson because he was tremendous leader. Tremendous leader.
Yeah.
At least the stories I've been told, that's how he was able to acclimate himself as a mid-round draft choice to the NFL in such a hurry and earn the respect of 52 other guys, even though nobody was talking about him like you were the next star guy coming out of college.
Yeah.
I understand the everyday nature of Gardner Minshew, and I think that has helped. But I really think it's his smarts, man. I think it's his savvy, his understanding of the game, his smarts, the mental IQ, the football IQ. Mental IQ is probably pretty redundant. The football IQ of being able to know the situations, even when the game is fast, to me is what separates him right now, and it allows him to be put in this position.
And you mentioned Russell Wilson, and one thing that they do have in common between Gardner Minshew and Russell Wilson is, don't forget, Russell Wilson was at NC State. I played against him in college. Russell Wilson tried to pursue the baseball path, wanted to play more college football, ended up going to Wisconsin for 1 year and won over that locker room, and led the Wisconsin Badgers to one of the best seasons they ever had in literally 1 year. And his ability to join the Wisconsin Badgers, went over the locker room, be that leader of that offense is very telling, just like Gardner Minshew did, where he was in Alabama getting ready to kind of be a grad assistant, goes to Washington State and wins over that locker room. So, yeah, that's something that doesn't show up on film, obviously, something that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but something you have to take into account. If we are comparing Gardner Minshew to an NFL quarterback, I do like the Drew Brees comparison, just from the footwork. Nobody out of college was praising Gardner Minshew for his footwork. And when you praise Drew Brees for being a great quarterback, you don't talk about Drew Brees' footwork a lot. But I'll never forget my second year playing in Jacksonville, playing the Saints at home. Drew Brees goes on a bootleg, and I have him dead to rights. Telescope, getting ready to hit Drew Brees. Drew Brees literally gave me a little a shimmy and a shake, and broke my ankles and ended up completing the pass. And I had to take the walk of shame after that play to the sidelines where, you understand they're a good quarterback, but they're so unassuming with their athletic abilities, right? Yeah. And I think Gardner Minshew is exactly like that. So I do like the Drew Brees comparison.
Love the story. I got to go find the clip.
Yeah. Oh, man, please don't. Oh, please don't.
What the locker room is saying about Gardner Minshew, and I promise we'll get to Leonard Fournette as well. Coming up on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
I was going to say, to be fair, later that game, I ended up getting a sack anyway. So we're all good.
I'll find a clip of that, too.
Thank you very much.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. You hear us daily on ESPN 690 from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. Make sure to catch Action Sports Jacks primetime every Saturday and Sunday all year long. 10:30 on Fox 30 and 11:30 on CBS 47. Action Sports Jacks primetime on Saturdays and Sundays the entire year. And always make sure to tune in from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. with Austin Lane and me on ESPN 690.
Vida de Louis, a locally owned tequila right here in Jacksonville, wants to help our friends in the Bahamas. Hey, everyone, this is Austin Lane.
And I'm Brent Martineau. Vida de Louis is one of the smoothest tequilas you'll ever taste. It's made in Tequila, Mexico, and shipped directly to Jax Beach. But Vida de Louis has friends all over the world, and that includes in the Bahamas. Help us raise money for the Treasure Key Relief Fund and Hopetown Rising.
Check out Vida de Louis on social media and the website vidadelouis.com.
50% of all merchandise will go to these funds. Please help Vida de Louis help the Bahamas by going to vidadelouis.com.
It's hard to imagine saying goodbye to your child. During a time of tragedy, families are faced with the stress of unimaginable burial and cremation costs. My name is Drew Haramis, and I'm the mother of Allison Haramis. I'm with the Angels for Allison Foundation. We were founded 8 years ago when my daughter was unexpectedly killed in a car accident. Angels for Allison helps to lift the financial burden from families that are already grieving.
To learn more about Angels for Allison and how you can contribute to this local cause, go to angelsforallison.org.
Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Thank you for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jacksonville. Everyone is loving our in-depth coverage of the Jaguars, the NFL, and all things sports. Another thing our listeners will love, your business. Let's work together and get you on the fastest growing sports station in Northeast Florida. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 904-245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690. It is the home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18, and it can be your golf destination. The Golf Club at Southampton. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. The Golf Club at Southampton is where I play a lot of golf, and you can too. Enjoy your golf experience by calling 287-PLAY. Play some golf, watch some football, and oh yeah, food. They've got that too. Southampton has it all, even a special tailgate catering menu. Give Lisa a call for your tailgate catering. 287-PLAY for tee times, football, and food at the Golf Club at Southampton.
Shop the 904.
We're local, you're local, shop local. This holiday season, shop local retailers right here in the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our own community.
When you shop locally owned businesses, most of the money you spend with them stays right here in our community.
Locally owned and operated businesses give our community character by offering unique options for shopping and dining.
They are a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great.
Shop the 904.
Local businesses are also the ones who give more back to the community by supporting local charities and sponsoring your kids' sports teams.
This holiday season, when you shop the 904, you're also giving the gift of helping your local community stay unique.
Sure, it's tempting to try to save a few bucks shopping the giant online or national retailers, but those few bucks you save would do more for our local economy if you shop local.
Shop the 904 and help keep our community unique.
Shop the 904.
Powered by Cox Media Group.
Get super savings on over 1,000 vehicles on the lot right now at Arlington Toyota. It's the 2020 Supra Sales Event going on now at Arlington Toyota. Plus, you'll pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019 Toyotas. You heard right, up to 50% less on remaining pre-owned 2019s. Looking at a 2019 Toyota Highlander? It's not $35,500. Now, it's only $24,888. That's $24,888 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Highlander at Arlington Toyota. Thinking about a 2019 Toyota 4Runner? It's not $36,500. No way. Now it's just $28,888. Just $28,888 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota 4Runner at Arlington Toyota. But Arlington gives you even more with their $5,000 Advantage Club. It comes with your purchase and it's packed with savings, discounts, rewards, and even a national lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles for new purchases. Shop Arlington Toyota today, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/super savings for offer details.
Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
By the way, Doug Marone's not off the hook on this, in my opinion, either. What do you mean it's emotional? I kind of forgot what happened. He knows exactly what happened. That's what he said in the postgame. He didn't want to address it either.
You almost got to fight. You're going to remember what happened.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and in the iHeartRadio app. He didn't say much. I mean, he come off the field and I'm screaming, and he's just like, he gives you that look with the mustache and just goes right by me. So I can't. I wish I could tell you. I didn't talk to him. I know he'll be here, right? He'll be out? Yeah, I think you could ask him.
Doug Marrone. By the way, Doug Marrone was pretty good. I think you might hear a little bit more of that in a moment because I'm going to play some reaction that we had yesterday on Gardner Minshew. But Marrone was exhausted. You talk about the altitude. Marrone was like huffing and puffing, man, when he was at that podium. I was watching it back last night. And he even said, he's like, I'm beat. He's like, I'm exhausted. And it takes a lot out of you, I mean, I can only imagine. It takes a lot out of fans, I think. Forget about if you're playing, if you're on the sideline, the stress of that game, everything going on. And we will talk about Doug Marrone because he needs to be talked about.
He does.
And it's really impressive with what the Jags have done these last couple of weeks, I think. But let's stay on Minshew for another moment. And let's hear more reaction from Marrone and some of his teammates, including A.J. Boye, some of his receivers, what they're saying about Gardner Minshew, and if they've kind of caught a little bit of this fever like everybody else in the NFL and especially here in Jacksonville has.
When I take a step back and say, is it remarkable? Yeah, I would say it is. Is it something that's becoming expected week in and week out? It's starting to.
At this point, it's not new to us, so we expect it, but we always appreciate it every time, when we think he's set, he get out of there, we always keeping the play alive because we know that can happen.
It just shows our resilience as a team, when the offense is down early, defense is picking us up, and then vice versa. And, it just shows that, we can do that any week, and we can rely on each other that much more.
As y'all know, that's my locker mate, so I see how he just approached the game and everything like that. It's just amazing what he's doing. And, we just got to keep it stacking up. And he's coming over there after every touchdown, coming to the DB, saying that he needs us, and we really feel it.
I mean, it's incredible. The kid's just running around doing all these different things. Nothing's too big for that kid at all. He's special.
We're fighting for that guy. He's fighting for us. I trained with him down in Fort Lauderdale, so I already knew what he was about, the type of leadership style he brought, his energy, and, it's all coming together. So, all this stuff you guys are seeing behind closed doors, I already seen.
Obviously, Gardner's done a heck of a job coming in. I love his personality. I love the way he goes about his job. And he's just a fun guy to be around. So, I think he energizes our team a little bit, too.
There's not a guy in this room that after the preseason would say this guy was going to go out here and play like he has. I think he's changed the way I look at things in the preseason, because he didn't play with a lot of the starters, but I wasn't sure.
That's Doug Marrone talking about maybe he'll mix things up again next preseason based on this performance by Gardner Minshew. And, everybody did wonder that. Like, can he look a lot better with the ones?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The answer to that is a resounding yes. By the way, in there, DJ Chark was talking. A.J. Boye said he's the locker mate. Brandon Linder, I know this is audio, but if you saw it on TV last night, too, we had it. He basically held his finger up over his like a mustache, while he talked about him.
I like it.
It was good to see. That offensive line doesn't talk a lot. They've been lambasted so many times. And by the way, they were not perfect and far from it yesterday. The first half, it was rough. But it was good to see that offensive line have some fun. And they're having some fun with the Minshew stuff. And I think that's a group that needs to be connected with Gardner Minshew and Leonard Fournette. We'll talk about Fournette in just a moment. You were talking, we say, okay, whether it's Russell Wilson and the leadership, whether it's Drew Brees and the footwork, and what I think in Minshew is what people would note but not put a ton of stock in is the smarts, the IQ, the football IQ, the understanding of what's going on. And when you understand things so well, then things don't speed up on you. And this is a game where things can speed up on you, especially when adversity hits. And so it's not an exact science, and we've said this before about Minshew. People want to check the box. So if you're 6'1", well, that doesn't check a box. If you don't have a rifle arm, that doesn't check the box.
Sure.
So you don't look the part. And if I'm a scout, I'm going to be a little antsy about taking a shot on a guy that doesn't look the part. And even from a fan perspective, I can't sell you as a fan on saying, this guy's a really good leader. I can't sell you on a fan, this guy's got a great football IQ. This guy's got great footwork. So it's not just the scouts. It's the fans. It's coaches. It's people inside that building. So it's a hard thing to do is to say, hey, but wait until you see this guy's football IQ.
Yeah.
You don't know how that's going to translate, but that's how you get lucky. You know, the New England Patriots got lucky with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And believe me, every time I say this, I'm not comparing this to Tom Brady. I really don't want to do that. I'm not even comparing him to Russell Wilson or Drew Brees. But my point is the
Dak
Seattle
Prescott
Seahawks got lucky. Dak
Yeah.
Prescott and the Cowboys. Cowboys got fortunate. If they thought he was going to be this good, they would have picked him in the first round.
Exactly.
Right?
And then they got fortunate at the very right time. Tony Romo goes out with that back injury,
True.
and all of a sudden entered Dak Prescott, this rookie out of nowhere.
So note this, okay? The Jaguars are getting lucky.
Sure.
They're fortunate. Their quarterback, their $88 million quarterback, who was a Super Bowl MVP and is now their franchise QB for the next at least 2, 3, 4 years, went down. Season probably over in most places. And this kid who did not play well in the preseason, did not look anything like, oh, what do we have here? Instead, you were saying, who do they need to go get as a veteran backup in case Foles goes down?
Sure.
Well, they got lucky because there's something there that you can't measure at a combine. I'm not sure you can even see it in the air raid offense at Washington State. There's just something there sometimes in guys, and that's the beauty of sports, and that's the beauty of the draft where you might miss. And right now, Minshew is showing that a lot of people might have missed.
You're absolutely right there. And we're seeing this with Kyle Allen now from Carolina.
Playing pretty well.
You're seeing it with Teddy Bridgewater, 2-0 since Drew Brees went down. So you're seeing this with a lot of backup quarterbacks. And, yeah, you can't praise the quarterback enough. You really can't. But we also have to take into account that his teammates, the team around him is also picking him up as well, right? Whether it's the defense, and granted, we'll get into the defense later, didn't play their best game yesterday. Let's be honest here. Whether it's the offensive line for the most part who's kept them upright, once again, in pass protection, offensive line didn't play their best game yesterday. But whether it's a stout running game that makes it so much easier to pass the ball, which we did see yesterday, saw it in spades yesterday with Leonard Fournette, I mean, that helps the quarterback out. So it's these things, and you mix that, and I can't say it enough, Brent, and I'll say it again. John DeFilippo, man, he should get all the credit in the world.
Really should.
What he's been able to do as far as the play calling, making the quarterback feel comfortable. I think he's been doing an excellent job, and it's kind of a testament to his coaching style and his philosophy as well. Because I'll be honest with you, this is a guy that was coming from Minnesota, and everyone kind of threw him underneath the bus, kind of made him the scapegoat. Look at Minnesota right now. Adam Thielen's going off on Kirk Cousins, kind of didn't really come out and say he doesn't like Kirk Cousins, but, passively aggressively did it. And Minnesota's a nightmare right now. And it makes you appreciate, listen, maybe John DeFilippo wasn't the problem in Minnesota. Maybe there's a lot more to it. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are lucky to have him as an offensive coordinator.
It's top 5. One of the most memorable plays I've ever seen here in Jacksonville in 12 years is the touchdown to O'Shaughnessy. From a design standpoint, again, I always say this to folks, I'm not an X's and O guy, okay? I don't get in love with oh, wow, what a play call that was. But when it jumps out to me and when you see it, and that play was awesome. Like, I want to go talk to John DeFilippo right now about that play.
Sure.
Like, I want to say, why can you do that like every day? Now, Minshew shed some light about it in the presser. He's like, you've got to block it because it takes a while.
Yeah.
And so that's a dangerous thing against the Denver Broncos team.
For sure.
But that pump right, pump left, pump back to the right, throw down the seam.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's not like he was wide open. Now, he was wide open in the NFL. But they didn't totally get fooled on it.
Yeah.
They still had to make a nice throw and then the nice catch into the end zone. I mean, seriously, top 5 design plays I have seen in Jacksonville. So to your point about Flip, the guy's doing a great job, and he's not shying away. I'm interested to see at the end of the game, were you like take a knee or run the football or stop throwing the football? You got Chubb and you got Von Miller. Watch out for the strip sack. Watch out. I mean, you can play real conservative. You got a great kicker.
Let's be honest. I think a lot of Jaguars fans were like that. I mean, I was like that for sure. I was like, the last thing we need is a Von Miller strip sack to end the game. We don't want to have that right now.
But he trusted the young quarterback, and he hasn't. Now, I'm sure the offense has pared down a little bit because Foles to Minshew, and maybe it's starting to grow back up. But it's not like hand the ball off, hand the ball off, hand the ball off. Now, it was on that drive. We're going to talk about it next.
Yeah.
But he's willing to throw the football and let the kid go play.
Yep.
And I think you have to tip your cap to him not being afraid.
Yeah.
Because in the NFL, people get afraid.
Yeah.
They do.
You're absolutely right. And remember who he's throwing the ball to. I mean, whether it's D.D. Westbrook, whether maybe it wasn't really common in this game, DJ Chark or O'Shaughnessy. These aren't really household names per se, but any one of them can beat you, as we found out. Raquel Armstead yesterday out of nowhere. Good to see him back.
Leonard Fournette leads the NFL in rushing, or just the AFC? Leads the NFL? AFC.
I'll look it up next. We'll find out for sure.
He's a leader somewhere. What a big day. We'll talk about it next on ESPN 690.
Thomas Rhett's coming to the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena on Friday, and ESPN 690 has your free tickets to the show. Listen to Action Sports Jax all this week at 4:15 for your chance to win. See Thomas Rhett live from ESPN 690.
Cooler weather's around the corner, and our AutoZone Rewards program is here to help you get your ride ready for those fall drives. Members get a $20 reward every time they spend $20 or more 5 times, which means you'll have more to spend on great deals, just like this one. Get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX high mileage motor oil and an SDP oil filter for just $28.99. Visit us at AutoZone.com and start the job fast. See terms at AutoZone.com/rewards. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, it's time for some straight talk. You wouldn't pay $100 for seats to a baseball game when you can get the same seats for $50. So why pay more on your wireless when you can get the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost? For $45 a month, get our unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data from Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Family, food, and football. Renna's Pizza checks the box on all 3. Family owned in Jacksonville for more than 40 years. Fresh ingredients every day. And you're home for football all fall. Watch the games and dine in at Renna's 5 locations. Or let Renna's help with your football get-together. A menu to satisfy the entire family's appetite. There's a Renna's Pizza near you. Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and the newest location in Neptune Beach. Family, food, and football at Renna's Pizza.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anna Jar and Levine studios. Anna Jar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Trey Wingo from Golic and Wingo, and you're listening to ESPN 690.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, the Angels fired manager Brad Ausmus after just one season, one where the team finished 4th in the AL West and missed the playoffs for a 5th consecutive year. Vontaze Burfict's helmet-to-helmet hit on Colts tight end Jack Doyle yesterday resulted in a season-long suspension from the NFL for the Raiders linebacker. The suspension includes the playoffs. The discipline doled out to Burfict for repeated violations of unnecessary roughness rules. Considering Burfict's history, he may have played his final game in the NFL, says ESPN's Stephen A. Smith.
When you look at Vontaze Burfict, and it's not about being suspended for the year. It's about the fact that this move right here could have ended his NFL career, because if people barely wanted you a few months ago, why the hell are they going to want you now?
Burfict's agent told ESPN's Josina Anderson he is in the process of filing an appeal. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the initial MRI on Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky revealed he has a dislocated left shoulder with a slight labrum tear, but he does not need surgery. It's unlikely Trubisky plays against the Raiders in London Sunday.
At Napa, get $20 back when you buy oil, air, and cabin air filters at participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care Centers. Limit 2 prepaid cards per household while supplies last. Offer ends 10/31/19.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Oh, it was huge. That's what won us the game. You know, Leonard, Rock, the whole offensive line, tight ends, they absolutely dominated. And that makes everything so much easier for the offense.
Gardner Minshew, after a big day, of course. How about this? Some really good responses coming in about who Minshew reminds you of. Cross of Breeze and Warner. Warner, good one.
A little hybrid. I like that.
Jackson DeVillen says 6th-round pick goes to replace an injured veteran. Yeah, we've heard that one a little bit. But that's fun. It's fun to make that comp. I'm not doing that, but it's fun to make that comp. Let's see, what else we have? This one was just good. How about this, Austin? You guys are doing a fantastic job with the show. Thank you very much, first of all. Following all the time and absolutely love it. Cheers to both of you, Brent and Austin, from Italy.
From Italy?
We got people around the world watching, man.
Here's a real question. Did they spell my name right? It said Brendan Austin?
Yeah.
Austen?
Yes.
My dude, if I could say thank you in Italian, I definitely would. I don't know. Mercy? Mercy?
Messi. That's
Merci?
French.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I
Lorenzo.
tried, dude. I tried.
We appreciate you watching. Sorry to screw up the
Sorry
Italian.
to mess up the
I
Italian.
apologize
Thank
for
you.
Austin.
My bad, man. I
We'll
tried.
work
Though.
on
I'm
that.
making an effort.
Go to Google Translator.
I'm looking it up right
Quickly,
now.
hurry.
I
Save
know,
yourself.
I'm gone. Oh, Grazi. Yeah, I didn't know that. Grazi.
Is this Grazi? Like Grazi?
Grazie.
I-E.
Grazi.
Okay.
Nailed it.
I should know more Italian than I do, probably.
Yeah. There you go, man.
Anyway, thanks for listening and watching from Italy. That's cool. C. Mullet says, style of play, Favre, Breeze mashup. Not putting him on their level, which is a good note. Just saying that's what his style of play reminds me of. You've said Favre before, haven't you?
Well, so I said Favre the personality. But,
okay, personality.
But as far as like the playing ability, like lison, Favre took a lot of risks, you know, and sometimes that got him into trouble a little bit. And I feel like,
and he had a rifle arm, so it's hard to make that
he had
comp,
a cannon.
Right?
I feel like Minshew, you know, to his testament, doesn't take as many risks, so therefore doesn't make as many mistakes.
I should have read the rest of C. Mullet's response.
Is that what he said?
Not as much of a risk taker as Favre, and not as much of a surgeon as Breeze.
It was
somewhere
me,
in the middle of that. Staying power, I believe so. About staying power for Minshew.
Sure.
Okay, we'll get back on Minshew because I really want to talk a little bit more about the couple of plays in the game and just how unique and how crazy they are and what does it mean to a football team when you go back and watch that tape and you see some of these plays. Because I think in live, we were actually in the locker room yesterday. We showed Keelan Cole, Marcel and I, because again, we had a ton of time.
Yep.
And so we were talking about the play and I was like, did you see everything that happened on that play? Like how he spun out. He's like, well, I've been getting hit up on my text message about the spin move and he had like spin was fire and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so Marcel had it, and we found it, and we showed it to Keelan Cole. And so these guys are just seeing some of it for the first time. And again, I think the low angle is different than the high angle. And on some of those, it's better to see the high angle. But I just believe when you go back and see that, and you're like, man, I mean, how do you not get confidence in that guy? How do you not just fall in love with that? And on that play, and that's why I want to talk about a couple. Keelan Cole did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, he was down in the corner of the end zone, like near the pylon, and ran back about 20 yards to go catch that football on a huge play. There were so many big plays in the game. But let's see. The biggest of all big play men was Leonard Fournette.
Yes.
He has had some nice games in a Jags uniform. Had a couple great games against Pittsburgh. That was the toughest running, best running, most angriest running I've seen Leonard Fournette. And that was one heck of a display, I thought, for number 27. And he's got a bunch of critics now. That was one heck of a display.
I mean, 225 yards rushing, Brent. No big deal. It's crazy, man. Like, and listen, we talked about it. It goes hand in hand, right? Like the offensive line, they have to block and they have to give him the holes to run through. You know, he's not the type of running back. I mean, he's a great running back, but he's not the type of guy to make that first guy miss in the backfield. Usually if a guy can wrap him up or at least slow him down, you know, the team can gang tackle him and maybe it's a gain of 1 or 2 tackle for loss. But what we saw yesterday was the Jags offensive line getting that push, going north to south. And when you have that with Leonard Fournette, you have something special. And 29 carries, 225 yards, 7.8 a pop, his longest of 81. And that's the thing that's so crazy about Leonard Fournette. It's not fair how big he is, Brent, but how quick he is as well, right? Like that straight line speed. I mean, I thought he was gone. That 88 1 yard touchdown, And listen, I had him on my fantasy team, so I'm literally standing up in front of my son, just shouting at the TV, just put in the end zone, please. I need 5 extra points. We got to win this one. Thankfully, I still won regardless. But yeah, what you saw from Leonard Fournette yesterday was special, and you saw that offense revolved around it, right? The offense had some adversity the first half a little bit, a lot of sacks given up. While you come out the second half, pound the rock a little bit, and it became successful. So props to Leonard Fournette. Maybe it was more the training in Wyoming that got it done, right? He's back in elevation. He was in Wyoming for a little bit training. Goes back to Denver, the high elevation, Brent. Something to it. I'm just saying a little coincidence.
By the way, where he was, Denver's about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes from Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Laramie.
Sure.
Where Wyoming is. So he actually wasn't far from where he did train, to your point. You know, the straight line speed is something, but people always wonder, can he be elusive? See, I think he showed in the first couple of weeks on some of those screen plays where he slipped the guy, and then he ran for 10 and then got tackled. And he almost escaped that. He showed a couple of times that he was about ready to go big. Now, maybe it wasn't on a run, but it might have been on a screenplay.
Yeah.
The difference is, on the 81-yarder, he broke that tackle. and then kept going. But you're right about this. Go look at that play on TV again. The burst, now the hole was huge, so great job by the offensive line.
Sure.
But the burst, it was boom. And that's the big knock against Leonard, is he dances too much. Now, why is he dancing? You know why? Because he doesn't trust that offensive line to block. It sounds like I'm making an excuse for him, but I'm just saying I think that's a lot of the reason. So what happens is kind of like a quarterback who sees ghosts. You don't trust that the hole's going to be there, and so you're like, what am I going to have to do? I'm about to get hit behind the line of scrimmage. I think that's fair to give that to Leonard Fournette. Now, he's got to get that out of his mind and trust the offensive line, but he talked about that a little bit after the game, how now they got a little more trust. In a game that's 225 yards and almost 300 yards rushing, I think the trust factor now will be at an all-time high as we welcome Johnny Bachman into the fold. What's up, man?
Well, hey, I was actually I didn't get a chance to see as much of the game as I wanted to because I was at an event last night, the Challenge Athletes Foundation.
I just went out there today.
Oh, so great.
Jim Houston, everybody at Southampton does a great job.
So great. Well, so the game was on at the event, but I wasn't paying close attention. But I had a question for both of you experts because one of the guys there was like, oh, they finally gave Leonard Fournette a fullback or a blocking back to run out of the eye instead of the empty, the one back set or whatever that they've been doing. And he said that's how he did it at LSU, and that's how he got all of his yards. I didn't notice that. I was wondering if you guys saw that because this person seemed to think that was the difference as to why he started breaking all these runs yesterday. You guys see that?
You want to go first? Or
no, you go first. Because I'm trying to recall seeing blocking back in front of him. I mean, they would use the tight end. They don't have a fullback. So they don't use tight end.
I didn't.
I get your point. I'm just trying to picture some of the sets.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I remember that.
I pose that you can do some research and get back to me and all the listeners who may or may not agree with that. They might have done it on some plays.
I think the big difference, John, was the fact that for 10 days, they got after these guys on the offensive line. I asked Andrew Norwell yesterday because they hear it. They know it.
Yeah.
They know when they stink. They know when they're getting called out. And Andrew Norwell's been getting called out. That's like a bust as a free agent. And you could almost see it. When I interviewed him, you could tell, like, I know you've been talking about me. It was one of those deals. Yeah. I feel like everybody's doing that these days. But
hey, that means people are listening, Brent. That's a good thing.
But you could almost tell. And so I even asked, he said, hey, I didn't bring it up, we were challenged this week. We were challenged. I said, yeah, but aren't you challenged every day? I mean, you're challenged. This is football, man. You get challenged all the time by these coaches. He's like, yeah, but this was different. This was a little bit more personal, and you could sense that. So of the sets, and I'll have to go back and look at them, that didn't jump out to me as much as those guys opened up holes. And Stuart Weber actually tweeted something out from like the next gen stats, and it just depends who you believe and how you read those things. But a lot of his runs were to the left side, which means they were following.
I saw basically all the big ones.
Following Andrew Norwell.
They were following Andrew Norwell on that side. So you got to. I mean, I'm assuming Andrew Norwell will grade out very well in this football game, at least in the run game for the Jags.
That's good. So as far as his long run was concerned, the 82-yarder, that was just out of there what they've been running. There wasn't a fullback. There wasn't a tight end that went to motion that was in the backfield. I mean, it was just Fournette. But what I think the key was and why they're so successful, and we talked about this on the show last week a little bit with Vic Fangio's defense, where he's kind of a stubborn dude, where he doesn't do a lot of different things. So, for instance, if you watch the game yesterday, he changed up the coverages a little bit during the game. Basic coverages. Like, it's nothing out of the ordinary. But as far as the front was concerned, didn't do a lot of blitzing. And he had success the first half, right? They got home, especially with the quarterback sacks. But the second half, Josie Jewell, their middle linebacker
from Iowa,
dude. Well, unfortunately, he went out of the game, and he got hurt. And I'm not sure how much Wolf actually played in that game too, because he was hurt as well. And it's like I talked about, where yes, they have two stud outside linebackers, but I was a little concerned about their three techniques or defensive ends. Well, they kind of got exposed a little bit because you saw the Jaguars run the same kind of plays every single time with Fournette and just run downhill. And by the time it was the third quarter and fourth quarter, I felt like the defensive line was just gassed. And you saw Fangio didn't really counter with anything. He just kept on doing the same base defense up front.
But take that 10-minute drive, which is unheard of in the NFL. It just doesn't happen very often, maybe once every couple of years. I mean, seriously, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
And they made some passing plays. Big third down play, I think, on that drive it was. Maybe it was a little bit later, to Marquise Lee, his first catch since 2017, but right at the sticks. I mean, he had some big third down conversions, and in the first half, they were terrible on third downs. But even the run to start that drive where Fournette got bottled up and was kind of going backwards and then spun away from it and ended up getting 8 or 9 yards. They're behind the sticks a bunch of times. 2nd and 15 at one time. I think he picked up either 13 or 14 yards, and now it's, it's 1st and 15, so now it's 2nd and 1. So all those little plays that add up. And I think Doug Marrone was really good about this. Leonard's been doing some things that people aren't noticing, whether it's getting you in field goal range and catching the ball for 9 yards and being able to make that play or whatever it might be. Some of the pickups on the blitzes, some of those kind of things.
Not fumbling at the end of the game.
Some of those things that people, I said to the fam today, I was talking and I said, he's hurting today. He's got to be sore. Yeah. I mean, he got he just pounded the rock, and he got hit a lot, especially toward the end when they are trying to knock that ball loose. But I think he's been better than people want to give him credit for. And I've always been a little bit, now this isn't me just kind of all of a sudden pivoting, but what I don't think Leonard gets enough credit for is what happened in 2017. And I've been adamant about that. Again, you can talk Mahomes and Watson all you want, and you're right long term. I'm not discrediting you. You're right. But they don't go to the AFC Championship game without Leonard Fournette in 2017. And you have to ask yourself what that's worth. For me, after watching losing for 10 years, the AFC Championship game was kind of fun.
But they might have made it with Mahomes, though.
They wouldn't have made it that year with Mahomes, is what I'm saying. He would have been a rookie that year, and they wouldn't have. They needed a run game. They needed Coughlin coming in, Marrone coming in. They wouldn't have. And so that it's okay that I understand. So you're better off long-term with Watson and Mahomes and all those. I'm not going to win that battle. But I just think it's worth acknowledging. Miserable last year, but in 17, he changed the game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what he proved yesterday is that he can still change the game for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Still first-round talent.
And complement Gardner Minshew if they can get everything in sync and working. And I don't know where it goes from here, but right now he's what? He leads the AFC in rushing. He's third in the NFL in rushing. Things change like that. That gives you confidence. I wouldn't be surprised if a week ago he was so frustrated that he wanted to get the heck out of Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And now here we are, 225. Yeah. And now he's like, let's go, boys. I'll take you to dinner again.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. I mean, the NFL's wacky. It's so bizarre like that. You got a minute to hang on?
I do.
All right, hang through the break. We got to take a quick time out. We come back. We talk more Leonard Fournette and this offensive line. Mm-hmm. So are they good now? Or do they have a lot of problems still? What's the deal with the offensive line? Can they continue this? And sooner or later, we're going to pivot into Doug Marrone because we have to spend some time on Doug. Not done with Jalen Ramsey talk either. But that's been put on the back burner. Thanks to Minshew, Fournette, Marrone, and others after a big win. You can join the conversation on social media, *690 as well. Are we giving away tickets today? No?
Possibly.
I got to check that. I got to check an email.
Now, that's a tease.
Thomas Red tickets.
I feel like we might be giving away tickets today. Yeah, find out if I'm right. Next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny and warm today with an isolated shower. Highs will be in the upper 80s. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show.
Eli Manning is one of the nicest dudes. Class personified. It's impossible to root against him. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not calling him some scrub. We're saying Father Time's caught up.
The Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds that guarantees you a $500 gift card if they can't beat anybody's price on a diamond.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with a licensed local expert with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788. Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
I think Carson Wentz is going to come back and have a resurgent year.
Are you not concerned at all with the lack of depth at quarterback position? They had to rely a lot on Nick Foles. Carson Wentz gets hurt every year.
Not every year.
Go Lick and Wingo, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on ESPN 690.
Hi, I'm Mike Mills from REM, and this is Action Sports Jax.
His name is Jockstrap King. That's his name. He's playing his part. You know, what more can I ask from him? You know, and I apologize to him for the last couple of weeks. I was very frustrated, and I didn't congratulate him like I was supposed to. You know, and he's doing a hell of a job.
King Jockstrap?
Yeah.
Or Jockstrap King?
Jockstrap King, I believe.
So see you later, King Ramsey.
JSK.
We got a new king in town. There's a little irony there.
Hey, do you think Fournette maybe threw a little shade? I'm kidding now.
No,
I'm kidding. I am kidding.
Austin has heard.
Here we go.
Sources saying
Leonard Fournette throwing shade at you.
Watts Ramsey out of town.
Gosh. The way things have gone, I wouldn't be surprised that pops up the next 30 minutes or so.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's just start some rumors.
Let's do it. Yeah.
What I saw while the flight was delayed yesterday.
And remember, we heard it here first. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Brett Martineau, former Jag Austin Lane, who's got inside sources apparently. And Action News
Gonna
Jax.
get me blocked on Twitter, man. Be
John
careful.
Bachman back in the fold too. All right, man, what you got coming up today? We're talking about your Vikings. They stink.
They are brutal. No, the Vikings are fine. It's Kirk Cousins that stinks right now. I'm just gonna lay it right there. Yeah, it's been painful. So who knew? You know, 2 weeks ago the Vikings were, I think, 2-0. Yeah, maybe 2-0, and the Jags. You know, basically fortunes have flipped. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, well, at least I got the Vikings.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, at least I got the Jags. So we're good there. Well, let me get. This is a terrible. I can't. I'm just gonna cut my losses and go right to it. So one of the talker story. Yeah, there's no segue here at all. I'm not even gonna. You could go down the segue road, but you don't want to. So here's the deal. Crazy story, and I bring it up only because everybody's talking about it. But over the weekend, there was a porta potty that caught fire, and firefighters put the fire out and found a woman's body inside.
Wow.
Okay, talk about just brutal, terrible stuff, right? Well, it's led to a whole bunch of questions. How did she get there? What happened? We're investigating that today, and I bring it up only because when we alerted that story, it was. Well, I mean, everybody wanted to know what was going on.
Sure.
So we're trying to find out what's going on. That's one of the stories we're working on for Action News Jax at 5. Now, because I don't want to leave you with that.
Yeah.
That's just brutal, right?
I didn't think the story was going to go that way.
The next story that I'm going to bring up is not in our newscast that I'm aware of, but it should be, and that is Carson King. You guys familiar with this kid from Iowa?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, the Venmo guy?
Yep.
So for anybody who hasn't paid attention, I bet most of your listeners know exactly who this kid is. He's an Iowa State fan, held up a sign for beer money at the Iowa State-Iowa game, and it went viral. Mm-hmm. Now, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened since then, but today's the last day for the fundraiser, right? He's raising money for the University of Iowa Children's Hospital, where they wave to the kids during the game. and they have reached $2 million.
Wow.
$2 million. And really, there's a kind of this push to keep it going. It's really, really remarkable. So a shout out to
over some beer money, man.
Over
It's
beer
crazy.
money.
Crazy
I said
story.
a long time ago, this guy made a joke.
Yeah.
And then made the wise decision to change that narrative and make it not about a joke, but something much better than that. And from there, it's been wildfire. And, there's been some hiccups there with some
things
stuff.
that he tweeted in the past.
And then the reporter who dug him up ended up having his own tweets. I mean, it's just been like
Why do we do that? Who finds the time to do that stuff?
I don't know. But it's the best
I'm
and
not
worst
saying you shouldn't be accountable, but at the same time, just like 6 years ago stuff.
Well, he was 16 years old. We don't need to get in that.
But he's a high school kid but guess what? He's getting $2 million for that children's hospital. That's all that matters
more
to
than,
me.
in my opinion, anyway, he is more than made up for a couple of bad tweets. I mean, it's really remarkable what he's done. And, like Coach Ferentz is getting involved, and everybody's, doing the right thing.
They've done
with
some
this.
cool things up there in Iowa.
They have.
The Children's Hospital and everything else.
Yeah, that's right. It's good stuff. So anyway, I'll leave you with that to chew on rather than some of the stuff we're working on. Of course, we do have, some Minshew madness still, and some coverage in our newscasts on that as well. Has anybody gone to our Action News Jax Facebook page where we got a picture of the outline of the Minshew stash? We're working on some stuff with that.
No,
I'm not at liberty to disclose any more information. But
go to the Facebook page.
Yeah, you can find a kind of a silhouette, like a Minshew silhouette.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
There's a lot of fun stuff going around.
There is.
So we're jumping in.
We're all in. I mean, I've been in on the Minshew mania from the get-go. I'd like to say that I'm kind of one of the originals. I'm not gonna lie.
One of the OGs?
I'm an OG.
Okay, you're an OG.
I am Minshew all the way.
Okay. Wow, you got all the stuff.
I like
by the way,
that.
I might have sent an email to the bosses today to get even more.
Oh, good.
So more on that, hopefully, if it transpires.
Okay. I cannot get enough of that guy. And you know what else I want to see? I'd like to go talk to his dad. Have you heard from his dad yet, really?
Yeah, there's been some cool stuff. In fact, The Athletic, and I might try to get the reporter on tomorrow, but The Athletic did a cool thing. I just saw parts of it. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing. We got in super late, but I think they sat with the family yesterday, saw all that transpire.
Wow.
And wrote about it. Yeah. So I think more of a written thing than a video
I think we
version,
need to maybe we can get him on this show or something, because I mean, you gotta believe that he's as much of a character as
he
his
is.
son.
No, he is. He gets. He's like there's. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but there's two people that have been requested more than anybody else so far this season,
and he's one of them.
Gardner's one, and his dad, I think, is two.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
As it should be.
As it should be.
I think I'm right on that.
Yeah.
But his dad is like second.
Yeah. As it should be.
Yeah. Crazy.
So,
all right, CBS 47, Fox 30, John Bachman. Check him out tonight. By the way, another thing that maybe is in your show, but I want to mention, the Players' Championship supports so many local charities. Made a huge announcement today. More than $9 million raised for the community coming off the 2019 Players' Championship that Rory McIlroy won. Stuart Weber was down there at Nice High School today. They announced a $1 million gift to launch a mental health support program partnering with Flagler Health for area students, which is a big deal with teen mental health, teen suicide, all those different things. So more of a news story, news angle, but check out Action News Jax tonight and online 5 to 7 on CBS 47, Fox 30. By the way, Chris Conley will join us at Top Golf tonight. That show on CBS 47. But come on out to Top Golf. Buy a bay for an hour, get an hour free, and let's talk about the Jags win. Let's have a little party at Top Golf tonight at 7 o'clock. Every Monday, Jags Report Live. So a lot of stuff coming up on TV and good things. Thanks, Johnny Bachman.
Thanks, guys.
All right, back to Leonard Fournette, this offensive line. We'll hear from some folks in the locker room as well. More to come on the Jags running game. And we do have to talk a little bit about those penalties.
I was going to say, I'm about to bring some storm clouds to your Sunshine and Rainbows parade here.
I'm okay with that. Next on ESPN 690.
Sunshine and Rainbows.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. Jags pulled a 2-2 for the season yesterday after a dramatic comeback in the Mile High City, resulting in a four-way tie for first in the AFC South Division. Leonard Fournette had a whale of a day, toting the rock for 225 yards and receiving for another 20. All of this while Jalen Ramsey watched from the sideline. Here's Leonard Fournette with praise for his teammates.
Armstead, our coach did a great job too. coming in when I needed a break. His breakout game, he stole my touchdown too. So, I'm happy for everyone all over the board. And despite of the adversity that we have going on, this team is a fighting team, no matter what nobody says.
And it's playoff time in the big leagues with 2 wild card games this week. Milwaukee and Washington tomorrow night, and Oakland and Tampa on Wednesday. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while at work by listening on ESPN690.com.
Homegrown and ready to help the home team look good on Friday nights and every night in any sport, Baker Sports has been doing just that since 1997. Your team experts offer the top brands like Under Armour and Adidas. Screen print, embroidery, and trophies all done in-house right here in Jacksonville. Baker Sports will get you ready for your big game. Looking good so you can play good. Play ball with your team experts at Baker Sports.
During the 2020 model year kickoff event at Honda of the Avenues, pay nothing down except for your tag. Like a new Honda Accord, just $244 a month. Just sign and drive. Happening this month at Honda of the Avenues, the Honda Giant. Lease a 2019 Honda Accord for $244 a month for 36 months. Price includes lease acquisition fee, dealer dock fees, $0 security deposit, title and registration plus tax. With approved credit through HFS. Lessee's responsible for maintenance, excessive wear, and use of 15 cents per mile over 12,000 miles per year and license tag. Valid on in-stock units only. See dealer for details. Offer ends 9/30/2019.
Good morning, class. A quick head count. Tiffany.
Here.
Zach.
Yup.
Steven. Steven. Is he absent again?
For many kids, just getting to school feels like a challenge. Staying through graduation is even harder. That's where Communities in Schools comes in. A powerful community of caring adults, working with vulnerable kids in schools every day, helping them overcome the barriers that stand in the way of learning. Hunger, homelessness, health problems, and even emotional trauma. Communities in Schools. We're inside schools partnering with teachers and counselors, empowering at-risk kids by providing supportive relationships, doing whatever it takes to help them thrive in school and have brighter futures. Communities in Schools. We're in schools to help kids stay in school. See how we help all kids succeed at communitiesinschools.org.
Hey, boss.
What?
You think it's okay to get out of here yet?
No, the cops may be still patrolling around out there. Give it another 10 minutes.
Okay. Boss?
What?
You still mad at me?
Well, let's assess our situation, shall we? Here we are hiding out from the cops in this storm pipe because you neglected to determine that the house we came up on had safe touch security. Is my assessment correct?
Yeah, but I swear they didn't have safe touch last week.
I don't want to hear about it, Corn Pop. We didn't even get to the front door before the safe touch video monitoring kicked in. Now here we are, crouching in this stinking ditch.
Sorry, boss.
Just so I know you know, tell me the Crooks R Us motto again.
Stay away from safe touch houses.
At least you got that right.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
By the way, Doug Marone's not off the hook on this, in my opinion, either. What do you mean it's emotional? I kind of forgot what happened. He knows exactly what happened. That's what he said in the postgame. He didn't want to address it either.
You almost got a fight. You're going to remember what happened.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30. Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Yeah, it was going to come, and the old line was like, man, just keep pushing, telling me, man, I'm getting 4 or 5 yards of carry, which is a good thing. And it just came.
Well, Leonard Fournette had a day. 9 yards shy of Fred Taylor's single-game rushing record. That's how good of a day. It had been since 2000, man. 2000. To have a day like that, and that's a special day. I mean, no, he's the only back to go over 200 yards is Fred. Now Leonard Fournette joins him. So, again, I am not ready to jump off the Fournette train, and I haven't been. And I feel like I've been somewhat consistent about that. Now, last year, I firmly believe last year they tried to trade him. I do. Yeah. I think they started poking around on that front. I think last year was a disaster of a year. I don't think there's anything to get around that. But I really give a guy credit for coming back and being the way he's been so far. And, I teased this, and I apologize, didn't get to it. We were talking with John Bachman. Do you know I think the play of the game yesterday was? Now, obviously, the 81-yard touchdown, flipped the field. I'm not touchdown, run. Flipped the field. There were so many different plays that he made. I still don't know the entire story here, but the way I viewed the story is that I thought Leonard Fournette had a maturity, a grow-up kind of moment in pulling Cam Robinson back.
Yeah.
Now, it looked, I think, on TV, from what I'm hearing and what I did see a little bit of, that people were like, what was Leonard Fournette's problem? They were asking, like, what did he say? I think this was all about Cam Robinson, man.
Yeah, because Cam Robinson got cheap-shotted.
Yeah, he did, but Cam Robinson, you've got to know the situation. I get it. It's like the Miles Jack thing. Like, I get that you play a game that I can't relate to. I get that it's an intense game. Yeah. I get that even you're probably a bit frustrated with the way you're playing because he hasn't played that well and he's still trying to get back. But you are at like the 10-yard line and you cannot lose your cool and force a 42-yard kick or 47-yard kick instead of a 32-yard kick, 33-yard kick. You just can't do it. And I'm a little surprised. I'm going to say this. I'm a little surprised an Alabama guy. An Alabama guy usually knows that.
Good point. Well,
but it just shows.
To be fair, Ronnie Harrison though got the celebrating.
That's
thing.
A good point.
Yeah.
But I think.
But he had a good game.
That's stupid. By the way, it's a dumb statement by me anyway. An Alabama guy. But it shows you can lose your cool on the football field, and you've got to be so careful. I get you need all that stuff. Like I really respect that part of it. I don't think it's as easy as we all talk about. When you're playing and battling 300-pound men and you're in those trenches. Again, we make it sound way too easy. This is not normalcy, people.
Yeah.
But you can't do it there. So anyway, I thought the finest play by Leonard Fournette was a moment where, and that's, I think they're good buddy. I think they're close. I think. Because when I did my sit-down interview with Fournette at the beginning of the year, he pointed out Cam Robinson a lot. He's like, we're going to get Cam back. And I sense that they're pretty close. And, he literally, it was like taking your big brother and be like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was a good moment for Fournette to understand. While Cam Robinson didn't understand the moment, Leonard Fournette understood the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm probably putting too much into it. And I'd like to actually follow a little bit more up on Wednesday when we see Leonard or this week. But I thought that was a really good moment for Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And to be fair to Cam Robinson's point, from what I saw, I forgot who the player actually was, but basically there's kind of a pile, play was over, guy comes in, kind of cheap shots Robinson a little bit, kind of spears him, and it transpires from there. And let's be honest, I always say you can't be emotional. Well, football's an emotional game, all right? You have to be a little insane. You have to be a little psycho to play the game, especially in the trenches. So, yeah, if you're Cam Robinson, listen, the game's on the line. You don't want to move back Lambeau, back another 10 to 15 yards, even though he probably can make it. But still, with that win and everything, who knows what was going to happen there. So you didn't want to get a penalty. And listen, I don't think Leonard Fournette made big strides of holding Cam Robinson back. And I think sometimes maybe Leonard Fournette gets frustrated too, and sometimes maybe guys had to come calm him down as well.
Well, yes.
We saw that last year. Okay?
Even a little bit this year.
But I'm saying, but that's okay, Brent. But, cooler heads will always prevail. And at that instance, Leonard Fournette, wasn't really in that pile. He didn't get cheap-shotted. He was looking at the situation more from just a calmer head. And on the sidelines, calm Cam Robinson down. And maybe, in the next couple games or so, maybe Will Richardson will be ticked off, and maybe Cam Robinson will be the guy that calms him down. But my point is the fact that props to Leonard Fournette, for seeing it, recognizing it, and de-escalating the situation. Because I'll be honest with you, Brent, and I get it. Last year we talked about Leonard Fournette wasn't captain material, right? Probably shouldn't have gave him the C last year.
No.
Well, what he did in Denver, it was becoming of a captain. Not saying he's there yet, but he's making the strides towards that.
Well, what he did in the offseason to get himself right.
That's
and I understand there are millions of dollars on the line. I get it. It's not just, hey, that's fine. But you still have to do it. You still have to change. And you have to go figure out what works for you. He got healthy. He separated from some of the folks that he was around.
Yeah.
That takes a big boy now to be able to do that. That's not an easy thing to do, man.
Well, especially your friends that you grew up with, right?
That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Probably one of the hardest things to do.
A lot of people can do that.
And he's a loyal guy.
Yes.
And he's got a ton of money. And he probably wants to help people out, too. He in our interview, he was very open about that kind of stuff. So I think you were right about something. yesterday was a moment for him from a leadership standpoint, kind of hey, this can be my team,
sure,
but also what he did on the field in conjunction with it, and then he ran like this is my team. And they need me to run well, and we're going to get this done. So all that is really good. A couple of quick thoughts just from people checking in, including Johnny, who says, "What am I eating right now?" I was eating a little smoked sausage, by the way.
Yeah.
Johnny, thanks. Winn-Dixie. Had a little lunch on the go. It's been a long day. First Coast Bubbler says, Mitchell reminds me of Jeff Hostetler. I'm not as in love with that comparison, but fine, because of the mustache. Didn't Hostetler have one, I think, back in the day for the Giants?
Okay.
I think he did. When he came in that would have been for Phil Simms, if memory serves me correct. I was just a younger lad at the time.
Can I be honest?
You probably don't even remember it.
Yet.
Yes, you probably don't even remember it. But so now what about this offensive line and the penalties?
Well,
and where are they going?
Thing.
Because, look, last week I praised the heck out of them for being able to pass protect. 0 sacks. And even through the first few games, they had been pretty good in pass pro. They just couldn't run the football. Well, now they turn around, they run the football, and they put a lot of work in. They got it done, and they were nasty in the second half, and they dominated the football game. They took over the football game. And you know what? I don't even mind the 5 sacks. I mean, I know it's a lot. It's probably too many. But that is like the best tandem, one of the best tandems in football. And they were thirsty to get them. They were desperate to get them. They were desperate for a win. I think sometimes that's going to happen. You can still win. The penalties, though, have been the killer. So I'm a little bit conflicted. You run for almost 300 yards. Hats off, man. Great job, offensive line.
Yeah.
The penalties, now a couple of those were on Jeff Swaim, too, on the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But they are taking points off the board. In fact, one of my things that I want to do this week on my to-do list is to go back and look at how many either big plays or actual points holding has taken away or a penalty on the offensive line has taken away in the first 4 games. It feels like a lot.
So if I was going to do 4 takeaways after the game, the 4th one would have been penalties. I didn't really address this during the video, but this needs to be addressed. And listen, on the offensive line for sure, but this affects the whole team, Brent, all right? And let's be honest. If they would have lost that game yesterday, it probably would have been the first thing that we talked about. 12 penalties for 104 yards. And I don't want to get people to get this twisted. 12 penalties is not acceptable, okay? I think anything over 10 is not acceptable, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably should be around 7 or 8.
Absolutely.
Right? On a high end, maybe you get to 10.
If you're over 10, it shows you're undisciplined.
Well, they had 4 or 5 against Tennessee on that Thursday night.
Exactly.
That was it.
In my opinion, if you're over 10, it shows you're undisciplined. And I don't think while the Jaguars are a good team, they can't get away with that many penalties every single game. Like we talked about, the Chiefs last year led the league in penalties. Well, all due respect to Gardner Minshew, but I'm not ready to write him off as Patrick Mahomes quite yet, okay? So when we're talking about the penalties here, Brent, they have to be addressed and they have to be cleaned up. And I come in here
man?
Well,
how?
So here it is. If you want to break penalty by penalty, yes, some are aggressive plays. Some just are bound to happen. I understand that. But
I think hands to the face is going to happen sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Just unlucky.
You have that. You have the Miles Jack one where he kind of grabbed the, come on.
Real quick side story, okay?
Sure.
I'm sitting in the press box, and right behind me in the press box are a couple of, I don't even know what they would call them. They're basically a couple of NFL officials that are grading the guys below.
Interesting.
So I'm listening to all their conversations.
Yeah.
And even one time I know that I'm like, that's a terrible call. Because I'm still not convinced that was a face mask on Miles Jack.
Yeah.
Was it?
So
by the rule,
it's a horse apiece, really.
And
you
they
could call
said
it
the
either
same
way.
thing to your point. They were like, that's a really tough call because everybody wears the masks now.
Gonna be honest though, if I was within that press box, good thing I wasn't, because that Noah Fant touchdown where the lineman down the field, I would have turned around my seat and just been like, "What's up, dude?
What's up?" And what about the shots to the knees?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so go ahead. I interrupted you.
Oh no, you're good. But just get back to the penalties. So the holding penalties, Brent. Right, those have to be cleaned up in practice. Those are, I get it. Those are physical, but those are mental errors, right? It's not good hand placement. It's not good footwork. And that's where, if you're a position coach, if you're an offensive coordinator, if you're the head coach, those have to be addressed, whether it's making the guy do extra reps after practice or before practice, whatever it is. But I feel like holding's been the big one we talk about the whole season so far, even the preseason, right?
They lead the league going into the week, and I'm sure coming out of the week, they lead the league in holding penalties.
Exactly. So thank you for proving my point. And we saw it in the preseason even. And those are big penalties, Brent. Those are touchdowns that are getting called back. they have to be addressed, and it's like I said, either you address it before practice or after practice, but did you just think a player is going to come, into the next game without getting addressed and, he's going to be fine this game? No, if the players keeps on getting holding, there's obviously a problem with this technique.
Yeah.
So go ahead and clean it up. Simple as that.
And here's the deal. They're taking turns. It's not just one guy.
Yeah.
They're taking turns doing it. One guy has 2 holds. One guy has 3. They're taking turns. Now, see, I think sometimes that's a talent problem when you're going up against really good players and you're like, this is the only thing I can do to not get the guy sacked. And I think there was a little bit of that at times. And Cam Robinson's still trying to make his way back. It's not easy.
No,
I tell
for sure.
people all the time, Marquise Lee, Cam Robinson, you're going to really have to wait until the second half of the year coming off those kind of injuries to really assess them. It takes some time. Hey, Kuz, do you mind if we go to break with a little sound on Leonard Fournette from yesterday's locker room? And when we come back, I want to flip the topic to Doug Marrone. How good of a job is Doug Marrone doing? Should I put him in the Coach of the Year race already?
Ooh.
And I'll give away a couple of tickets. We do have a giveaway. But first, here's some reaction from the locker room on the running game yesterday.
Just getting back to what we know we're good at, running the ball, and it was effective. All the guys put a body on the body. They also kind of stopped Vaughn and also Chubb. Those 2 great athletes, and they did a great job handling those 2 guys.
Yeah, he was definitely running angry. He had a lot of energy, but all in all, that's the type of guy I see every day. So, I don't let the run game, discourage me or, get down because I know what that guy's about. So, I'm happy for him. He ran for almost 200-something yards. I'm just, his happiest fan. And, just to be in and come in and, spill him for a little bit, I can't be more proud.
We just communicated. We started understanding what they were going to do, and then we went out and attacked, and we did our assignments. And then, you got 11 guys doing their job, and then we produce.
There was some room there. There was, but I will say that he was definitely finishing. You know what I'm saying? I think once you get into the line of scrimmage, you're able to finish. If you get hit behind the line of scrimmage, it's very difficult.
Good game for us up front. I'm happy for Leonard, and just happy for the O-line. The unit coming together and, getting challenged this week and just executing on offense and just everybody working together was great.
So we had the O-lineman had a dinner Thursday, and Brandon and everybody else like, man, we're gonna get you there this week, and I believed in them, and I think little things like that, just bonding outside of football.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
All right, so that's another example of maybe he's being a distraction to the team. Give me some more, Brent. What else we got?
Brinks truck,
and
you
then
said.
We had the Brinks truck.
Yeah.
Players have shown up in old cars. Players have shown up in hot air balloons. This isn't the first time that someone showed up in an exotic vehicle to training camp. I don't see anything that's a big deal. Jalen Ramsey's not out getting arrested. Jalen Ramsey's playing football. Everything else, I'm cool with.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Vida de Louis, a locally owned tequila right here in Jacksonville, wants to help our friends in the Bahamas. Hey, everyone, this is Austin Lane.
And I'm Brent Martineau. Vida de Louis is one of the smoothest tequilas you'll ever taste. It's made in Tequila, Mexico, and shipped directly to Jax Beach. But Vida de Louis has friends all over the world, and that includes in the Bahamas. Help us raise money for the Treasure Key Relief Fund and Hopetown Rising.
Check out Vida de Louis on social media and the website VitaDeLouis.com.
50% of all merchandise will go to these funds. Please help Vida de Louis help the Bahamas by going to VitaDeLouis.com.
How many jewelry stores ask you to shop around? Beard's Diamonds wants you to see the selection and pricing other stores have to offer. Why? Here's Ben from Beard's Diamonds to tell you.
Because at Beard's, we are so confident in our diamond prices. So confident that no other store can touch Beard's prices. That we're willing to give you a $500 gift card if you find a GIA certified diamond for less anywhere in North Florida.
Beard's Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com. See store for details.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish, rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Peace of mind. It's one of the most important things we can have and sometimes the most elusive. I'm Eli Anajar from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. Auto accidents are tough enough, but can be downright scary if the other car leaves the scene before the police arrive. You may still be able to make a claim if there's available uninsured motorist coverage. Call us to help ease the fear and help you present your claim. Call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000 for a consultation. That's 904-600-4000.
Office in Jacksonville.
Shop the 904.
We're local, you're local, shop local. This holiday season, shop local retailers right here in the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our own community.
When you shop locally owned businesses, most of the money you spend with them stays right here in our community.
Locally owned and operated businesses give our community character by offering unique options for shopping and dining.
They are a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great.
Shop the 904.
Local businesses are also the ones who give more back to the community by supporting local charities and sponsoring your kids' sports teams.
This holiday season, when you shop the 904, you're also giving the gift of helping your local community stay unique.
Sure, it's tempting to try to save a few bucks shopping the giant online or national retailers, but those few bucks you save would do more for our local economy if you shop local.
Shop the 904 and help keep our community unique.
Shop the 904.
Powered by Cox Media Group.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
And this guy writes in, where was all this Masvidal love before his recent success? Real fans have had his back for a long time.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hi, this is Grayson Marshall Jr., 2016 ACC legend, and you're listening to ESPN 690.
I know he's spinning around, he's breaking tackles. It's like, it's like when you're 12 and you're playing in the street with a bunch of guys. Well, I play in the street, but you play in a field, I guess, for most of you. You know what I'm saying? You play in a field with a bunch of guys, and he's going around, and he's just trying to make a play. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes you sit there and you're like, hey, let's not take these chances and just go down or run or do it, something like that. But the guy made plays. I mean, you guys seen it.
That's Doug Marrone, and we're going to talk about him coming up. Also, some Thomas Rhett tickets. Concert coming up later this week. We'll give those away in just a few minutes. Brent Martineau, former Jags player, Austin Lane. Kuz is back from his big convention where he learned everything and taught all the bosses everything they need to know.
Yes, sir.
That's the way I interpreted it. And speaking of bosses, how good of a job is Doug Marrone doing right now? Get to it in a moment, but one final thought on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You said something in break to me that, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the way I heard it is Will Richardson was playing better than A.J. Can when they got in the game.
Well, yeah, I think A.J. Can kind of started things off, and they've been doing that rotation a little bit, and it kind of goes unnoticed because, let's be honest, they're offensive linemen. We don't really pay attention to them a lot unless they're making mistakes. And to me, A.J. Can jumped out on film when he gave up that, the sack on the inside move. I think it was DeMarcus Walker, but don't quote me. It was. Okay.
No,
and I'm not positive. I mean, there was sacks to go around, but.
No, because I tweeted at the time, Can just got obliterated, and it was from Sandalwood's DeMarcus Walker, who had himself a nice game, a tackle for a loss, and a sack, just his third career sack.
Yeah.
He joined us on the program earlier this year. Good dude.
Yeah.
And good to see him playing well out in Denver, not against the Jags, but good to see him play well.
Yeah, exactly. So they bring Will Richardson in, and I'll be honest with you, when they brought him in, didn't really notice anything from him the whole day, which is a compliment to him because I'm not watching offensive linemen, like I said, unless they make a mistake. So, that's the question going forward, right? Where I understand, is there a benefit to rotate guys in like a defensive line, Brent? I really don't think so because I think offensive line, it's about chemistry. It's about the feel of it. And I think if you keep on rotating guys in and out, you just kind of lose some of that feel. So I think going forward, if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, assuming Cam Robinson's still coming along, assuming that knee holds up and everything, I mean, you have to take a serious look at maybe Will Richardson, having that starting guard spot and then keeping him there, and to be fair with Will Richardson, this is a guy who came from NC State, had some injury concerns, didn't get on the field right away. They kind of threw him in the left tackle, emergency scenario, and comes out his first game, does okay. Houston has a little more trouble, right? And you don't really hear from him after that. Well, this is a guy that stood out to me this last game in Denver, bro.
It's not talked about as much, but what they're doing with the offensive line is about as odd as you'll find in the NFL. I mean, the splitting of reps, with a way he's coming in as an extra blocker. I think one of the beat guys they counted the snaps. It was like 11 snaps, and apologies if you're listening for not giving you credit. I forget which tweet I read, but I think he said 11 snaps. But some of the split, like last week, it was like an even split between Abuehi and Robinson. Now, some of that's from a conditioning standpoint. He just hadn't played a lot. Didn't play a lot in the preseason. Didn't practice a lot in the spring or in the preseason. And then the other one was this Richardson and Can split. And I don't know if that's just to kind of light a fire under both guys, know that nothing is safe. But in a communication chemistry kind of position, it's a dangerous thing, and it's really very unusual. I've been covering the NFL for 2 decades now. I don't recall it 4 games into the season like this.
Yeah, and I've never heard of it either, to tell you the truth. I mean, I know New England did a little bit of that a couple years ago with the injuries, but that was just literally they're trying to survive because they had so many injuries on the offensive line. So, yeah, and listen, I didn't play offensive line, so maybe I'm completely in the wrong, but I would just think that, playing the O-line, you have to have that chemistry. You have to be on the same page, and when you keep rotating guys in and out, it's different on defense, right? Because that's a necessity on defense because the guys get tired, right? You're coming out of your stance and everything. You have to get a fresh body in there. Well, on offense, it's a little different where if it's not a fatigue issue, like you mentioned with Cam Robinson, it might have been a little bit. He's still getting acquainted, still getting his reps in the game. So maybe his conditioning isn't up to 100%. But when you're talking about A.J. Can and Will Richardson, well, they should be conditioned. So, yeah, it is a little weird, and it's something to kind of keep an eye on and see where they go from here.
Yeah, and you've said it, by the way, for a long time. You thought they might be better off with Richardson than Can at the right guard spot. Coming out of camp, you said that.
Well, yeah, and all I said with that regarding was if they're at the same level, if they're playing pretty much the same style of football, the same type of football, not making the mistakes, I would always put the guy that's a little bigger, right? Because Richardson's like 6'6". I think Can is like 6'2", 6'3", a little on the shorter side. Nothing to knock that, but I'm just saying from an aesthetic, from being a defensive tackle, in that 3 technique, you see a 6'6" guy looking back at you, it's going to strike a little more fear than a 6'3", 6'2" guy.
All right, so more offensive line talk, running game talk along the way all week long. We'll see if they can continue this now. That had to give him some confidence and a really good sign that a guy like Norwell was playing well. That's what you signed him for that big contract. All right, let's talk about the guy that has wrestled with that offensive line. He's an offensive line guy. In the first half, I think he was getting killed again for this offensive line's mistakes. That's Doug Marrone.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, we made a promo out of this. This is what it sounded like. So I think I have a mea culpa about to happen, but this is what we were talking about with Doug Marrone literally 2 weeks ago on the show.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
By the way, Doug Marrone's not off the hook on this, in my opinion, either. What do you mean it's emotional? I kind of forgot what happened. He knows exactly what happened. That's what he said in the postgame. He didn't want to address it either.
You almost got in a fight. You're going to remember what happened.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
That was a shameless internal segment promo, too.
Yes.
Oh, right there that just took place.
Check it out.
But, we went as far to say 2 weeks ago, that was coming off the Ramsey stuff. And by the way, I still think that I will stay on the side. If Doug Marrone was sitting right here,
yes,
I would say I think he made a mistake going over to Ramsey, and I think he should have disciplined him right there. So I'm not backing off that. I just think that's my view of the situation.
Good for you, man. Sticking to your guns. I like it.
So, but that very weekend, what we did not play, I remember bringing up this topic. And this was just kind of, hey, where does this go? This wasn't, and I remember even saying, I'm not advocating this to happen, but if the Jags go to 0-3 and get crushed by Tennessee and you're amidst all this Jalen, and at the time it was Jalen versus Marrone stuff that we were talking about, could he even walk in on Friday and not have a job? I mean, I literally said that. That came out of my mouth. And here we are 2 weeks later, and I think I want to put him in the running for Coach of the Year. Gosh, we suck as the media sometimes, don't we? Yeah. I mean, I don't think we have given him enough credit for these last couple of weeks. And the coach always gets blamed. Doug Marrone knows his position more than he is very honest about where he stands. He'll be a dummy or a genius coming out of training camp for the way he handled it. He was a dummy the first 2 weeks. Now he's looking a little smarter. But he's had this Jalen Ramsey thing to deal with. There is, I don't know if dysfunction is the right word, but there's some weird dynamics going on in the organization with the whole Ramsey versus the front office, with Coughlin and Marrone, Shad Khan stepping in to some degree. Where does this even go? You lose your quarterback. You've got this young quarterback. You can't run the football. Your offensive line's a mess. You're an offensive line guy. I mean, all these things going on. And all they have done is won 2 football games to save their season. One on a Thursday night short week with all the Ramsey stuff going on.
Yeah.
This one, he comes out and supports Ramsey as much as a coach can support him, and they turn around and don't have Ramsey to play on Sunday against Denver in a hostile environment, in a game that you want to get back to 500. The door's open by the rest of the division to be in first place, and they deliver a big win on the road. I mean, he deserves a ton of credit right now for what he's doing, bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, if any coach has done a 180 from the first 2 games to now, it's Doug Marrone, right? Like, we were sitting here talking about, well, at least I was talking about, like, yeah, the Chiefs game was horrible. Miles Jack gets thrown out of the field. What kind of culture is there? People were questioning, well, maybe they should have went a little harder during training camp because the Chiefs did. Look at the Chiefs obliterated everybody. Chiefs are undefeated. But, and then this is the biggest thing you can take away from it, Brent. How does the team handle adversity? All right. Losing, 2 games right off the bat, that's adversity a little bit, right? Dealing with Jalen Ramsey and all that stuff, that's adversity. Miles Jack getting thrown out of the game, that's adversity. Answering all these questions, it's adversity. But like we talked about before on the show, at the end of the day, the head coach, more importantly than anything, is that he controls the narrative for his players. And I think Doug Marrone has done a fantastic job of controlling the narrative and not letting the narrative be a distraction of what the outside world thinks it should be.
I love you, Uncle Doug. You're doing a great job. Coach of the Year candidate right now. By the way, how about some Thomas Rhett tickets? Let's give them away. *690 904-362 9901. We'll say caller number 4 next.
All right, it's time for some straight talk. You wouldn't pay $100 for seats to a baseball game where you can get the same seats for $50. So why pay more on your wireless when you can get the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost? For $45 a month, get our unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data from Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
So guys, how many of you are guilty of using your wife or your girlfriend's shampoo in the shower? Quite a few, I imagine. Have you considered the importance of using a product designed for your hair? Yes, men's hair. After all, your hair is different. Dove Men Plus Care has created a hair care range designed to fortify men's hair and give it the care it needs to stay strong and healthy. Do your family and your hair a favor and get your own products. Dove Men Plus Care for stronger, more resilient hair. Available at Walmart.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Codan is now Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Angels, coming off a disappointing season where they finished 4th in the AL West, fired manager Brett Ausmus. Speculation is that Joe Maddon could replace him. Maddon, who parted ways with the Cubs yesterday, was a coach with the Angels from 1993 to 2005 and is held in high regard by team owner Artie Moreno. Maddon is said to be highly interested in the Angels opening. The NFL suspended Raiders linebacker Vontaze Burfict the rest of the season, including the playoffs, for his helmet-to-helmet hit yesterday. The league said the suspension due to repeated violations of unnecessary roughness rules. Burfict's problem? He's failed to adapt to rule changes, notes ESPN's Ryan Clark.
And this wasn't Vontaze Burfict's first time. He's been suspended before. He's had these type of issues. And if he's showing that he's not willing to change his game or at least attempt to play this game differently for himself, for his peers, and for the safety of this game, then you have to make sure he knows that it will be unacceptable.
Burfict will appeal. Broncos linebacker Bradley Chubb will have season-ending surgery on a partial tear of his ACL.
Vivid Seats, the top ticket source for the live events you crave, now has a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. Go to the App Store or Google Play, download the Vivid Seats app, and enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Hey, thanks for calling in and winning some Thomas Rhett tickets coming up on Friday night. We'll give away some tickets all week long. So, Thomas Rhett's pretty good. I know it's not your music.
It's okay.
It's my music.
Yeah.
And I really like his last album out.
Good stuff.
Is it still albums? Is that how we do this?
Yeah, it's
I
still
think
albums.
they still call them that. Yeah.
Okay.
Albums, CDs. I think albums.
I don't
okay.
even know if CDs anymore.
Speaking
What's
of
a CD?
MP3s.
You had asked me earlier, did you go to a dispensary in Denver?
Of course, man.
No, I didn't.
You should have.
So I've never been in one.
Yeah, sure.
So, seriously, people, I really haven't.
No, yeah, you're good.
Why did you say I should have?
Because it's cool to see. It's like, like when I went into one, I was under the impression it'd be like a gas station. Like everything would be like kind of run down, and it's like you're buying little trinkets like at a gas station counter. No, not like that at all. This is like a $1 billion industry for a reason. So like at least the ones that I've been into, there's like different games you can play. You can get like a little tour like how everything works, because usually they grow it and sell it at the same venue. So you can take a little tour of like the growing station, stuff like that. It's really fascinating. I mean, you don't have to smoke to be impressed by it. I thought it was just a really cool thing to take in.
Do the weed gummies, do they come kind of like at a candy store where you have the little scoop and you gotta you got like all the options coming
that I didn't
like that?
see, to tell you the truth. It's not like you're going into a Publix with the scoop and you just scoop as much as you want. You put it on the scale.
I'll take a pound of those.
Yeah, I don't think it's like that at all. But no, like they're a cool sight to behold, man. It's insane. Like I remember one distinctively in Las Vegas I went to. They have like things like on the floor, and obviously probably for people that are under the influence, it keeps them occupied. I wasn't under the influence. I was just kind of taken back by it. Goes to show you where my head's at. But they're basically like things you can play on the floor. So like you step on something, it's like a projection, and then you can play games on the floor literally with your feet. So it's like a projection game with your feet. It's a pretty cool thing, and I'm sure if
you better be coordinated.
I'm sure if you're under the influence, I'm sure it's a mind trip and a half, to say the least.
I was walking off the field, and a player's like, "Isn't it crazy that you can actually smell marijuana like?"
Oakland,
right now throughout the stadium. It's like it's just so bizarre. It's odd,
so
right?
Back when we played in Oakland back in I think 2010, Oakland was like that. This is back when it was illegal. It just shows Oakland what's going on. But the whole stadium reeked of it.
Yeah, it's like you're at a Dave Matthews Band
concert. There you go. Exactly.
All right, back to the football. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Kuz is here. Back from his little trip to Texas. And Action Sports Jags, Stuart Weber here as well. Reminder, tonight, Jags Report Live, Top Golf. Chris Conley will join us, the Jags wide receiver. We'll talk about a lot of fun stuff. Stuart and everybody's been working on that show.
To give you a little preview of one of the fun things that will be talked about, Dan Hicken was doing some research on Star Wars questions to ask Chris Conley. He is a big Star Wars fan, so our compatriot
Conley is.
Not Dan. Dan didn't pronounce anything right. I had to correct him.
Anyhow, hey, careful. We're only allowed to use that name like 3 times a month.
Our compatriot in the sports office on the television side, he was coming up with some good ones, so it'll be a test tonight.
Don't worry. He'll soon be known as a Huckleberry.
I like it. Yes.
The only one that's important to me is ask him if the second new Star Wars is good or not.
Yeah.
Ask him if The Last Jedi is good.
I will do that for you.
Thank you.
Because
ask him his thoughts on it.
Where I don't have a vast knowledge of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So this could be an awkward moment on TV for me.
So ask him if The Last Jedi is a good movie or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
I'll
doubt.
be hitting golf balls while he's being quizzed, maybe.
There we go.
Come on out to Top Golf, though. Check it out, the show tonight, 7 o'clock on CBS 47. But talk more about this Jags win. And Jags had an off day today, so Chris Conley all ready for that. Another thought on Doug Marrone. We got happy hour horn. I want to get to Jalen Ramsey as well. I want to talk about Vontaze Burfict. We got one more hour of the show and a lot to get to. Marrone, I think, they were on the hot seat coming into this year. The whole staff, no doubt.
Of course.
And that's not to say I think it's cool because you've won 2 in a row, but it can certainly get hot again.
There's a lot of season left, yeah.
We saw what happened. And that's really where I was going to go with this thing. I asked this earlier today, a poll question. Like, what do you feel better about? What Doug Marrone's been able to do to rescue the season at 2-2 now, amidst all the stuff that's going on, from losing your starting quarterback to the Ramsey situation and everything else, or last year when they were 3-1 and they had crushed the Patriots. They had just crushed the Jets. Because if you remind yourself, and this is why you've got to be really careful, week-to-week league for sure, because this is when it started going downhill for the Jags. Now, Kansas City was about having their coming-out party, and the Jags helped that along with all the turnovers from Bortles, and then they started getting hurt. So first month last year was really good. Everybody's like, hey, this is on pace. This is what we expected. Everybody who picked Jags go to the Super Bowl, they are right on the money. And then crash. I mean, it was a crash big time. Now we're at 2-2 here in Jacksonville. It was an 0-2 start. Little different feel. So I asked the question, I was like, which did you feel better about? If you take yourself back to last year, 3-1, or now being 2-2, getting through some of the hurdles, rather than what we didn't know at this time last year was there was a lot of hurdles that were about to happen.
Yeah. What was the response that you had, first of all?
Well, I think a lot of the folks, in fact, I was surprised, and I know how this happens too, and I'm not knocking the people. I'm glad they voted on it. Last I checked, let me get you an update. Right now, we got almost 750 votes, and 59% you feel better about the 2-2 start in 2019. Now, let me preface this with what happens is we're living in the moment.
Sure.
So I'm not shocked to see that number. But in my opinion, if you go back to last year and you take that, you had just beaten the Patriots, man. Blake Bortles is playing really good football from the previous year to now, against New England, against the Jets, throws for a bunch of yards. I probably would have said last year I felt better because I still don't know what's going on with Ramsey. How long would the Minshew Mania magic last? What is up with this offensive line? And is this defense as good? Are they starting to show some signs, which we'll talk about, that the defense might not be – it might be good but not really, really good?
Yeah, I mean, if we're being completely honest, as far as just like the optimism and where I was at, definitely last year at this time, I was a little more optimistic than I am this year. Not to say I'm not optimistic this year, because you have to like what you see so far from the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
I feel like there's a lot of upside.
Yes.
Where you might have been at your ceiling last year. See, that's maybe the one difference.
And then here's the thing, right? Like, when we go back to 2017, you look how successful they were, and then that correlates to 2018, Brent, and they play New England, which was, I think, the biggest game people thought of the season. You play them at home.
Unfortunately, they did too.
Well, yeah, and you beat them 31-20. Bortles kind of has a coming out party a little bit. Had a really good football game. So after that game, I was texting everybody like, "Oh yeah, get your Super Bowl tickets right now. Like, this is the Jaguars' year." And then we saw what happened from there. But just from the first 4 weeks, 3-1 or 2-2 from last year to this year, I'm still at last year. If we're being honest,
my question is the ceiling the roof?
Ask Michael.
Yeah, but the way I look at it, I mean, I'm more so excited about the 2-2 than the 3-1 last year, and I think a lot of that has to do with what are you coming off of, and what where's your mindset. So last year, 3-1 was expected. You come off of that great run to the AFC Championship game, you're all excited. You're like, okay, 3-1, that's who we are. That's what we're supposed to be. Here, you go 2-2 when you're not expecting to go 2-2 because of just what happened last year, and obviously Nick Foles going down in week 1. So it's kind of that pleasant surprise. You kind of forgot what these wins felt like. Wins during the season at a time that it matters, where you're going out there and getting it done. You're like, oh, this is pretty cool again. We kind of like this again. And I think the great point, we said it at the very beginning when we were talking about a backup quarterback. If your starter goes down, can your backup win half the games? Can they go out there and win half the games? Well, Minshew's, he's done that, and it's looking like it could be more than half, at this point when you look at what he's able to do.
Yeah, it's been, you're right about that. That's how we presented the situation.
And he's 2-2 because, Foles obviously played in the first game.
Technically.
Right.
Like on his record will be 2-1, but
correct.
To your point,
he played most of that game. Yeah.
With him playing. Let's check out our happy hour horn right now on a Monday. Then we're going to get some Jalen Ramsey in just a bit. But first, happy hour horn time on a Monday.
Party now begin. See the beautiful ladies marching in. There's enough for everyone to win. We're gonna make this party the best thing happening. This is my favorite place. Nothing will replace. No. Nothing. Anything goes. Gangsters are rolling, half-face smiling. Heads over, think of the rhythm what you're drinking. Anything
Grab a drink, get a shot, tip your star tenders.
Vida de Louis recently got a 94 rating, and make sure you check out Vida de Louis anytime when you're looking to get some tequila. Happy hour horn, right? Vida de Louis, locally owned right here in Jacksonville, wants to help our friends at the Bahamas as well. And you can do that by helping raise money for the Treasure Key Relief Fund and Hopetown Rising. Check out Vida de Louis' social media and the website, VitaDeLouis.com. 50% of all merchandise will go to those funds. VitaDeLouis.com is the place to go. And Vida de Louis is made in Tequila, Mexico, shipped directly to Jax Beach. Once again, VitaDeLouis.com. Help out our friends in the Bahamas. I was just looking up, too. The Jaguars in 2017, 2-2 start. They went 3-3 start. Then they won 7 out of 8. They've been a streaky football team under Doug Marrone, because in 2018, did they lose 9 straight after going 3-1? I'm pretty sure it was 9 straight. It was something crazy like that. So here we are again. Maybe the Jaguars are in the middle of a run. I mean, once he gets it going, it seems like he gets it going. Or I've always said, can they get to 3-3 through 6 weeks? And if they do that, then they put themselves in a position to kind of look forward by their, I would say in quotes, difficult part of the schedule. Although everything has kind of leveled out in the grand scheme
Battle
of
the backups. I mean, you got the Jags backup against the other team's backups the next 2 weeks as far as quarterback goes.
All right, I didn't get to Ramsey right yet. Let's do it on the other side of this. Ramsey and Vontez Burfict, not related, but I want to get to the Burfict thing and get your thoughts on that. Is that appropriate, the year-long suspension? Done. Is he done? I mean, how much longer is this guy going to play? The track record said a lot on this one. I'm not sure the hit was really worth the whole year suspension.
He was the team captain for the Raiders, too, by the way.
It's unbelievable, really. I remember when that came out, and I was like,
okay.
Am I seeing that right? Is that right? Is that a typo? Why do people make so many mistakes on captains?
It's a good question.
No comment. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't have the answer for you, man.
Here's the answer. Don't let players vote.
Well, I'm sure Gruden had something to say about it.
Yeah, maybe he did.
It's also the franchise that got Antonio Brown there, so who knows what happened.
Jalen Ramsey's not a captain of the football team. Will he play for this football team again? What's the latest on the Young and the Ramsey soap opera? Next on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A fair to partly cloudy sky tonight with warm temperatures only dropping into the lower 70s. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds that guarantees you a $500 gift card if they can't beat anybody's price on a diamond.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
There is one name synonymous with joint replacement excellence, and that name is Heekin of the Heekin Clinic. For 18 years, Dr. R. David Heekin and his staff have been the leader for treatment of hip and knee pain. Eliminating hip and knee pain through advanced surgical and non-surgical techniques has been Dr. Heekin's sole goal since retiring from the Army in 2001. If you're looking to ease your hip and knee pain, schedule an appointment today and call 328-5979 or visit HeekinClinic.com. That's HeekinClinic.com.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish, rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Hey, boss. How's it going?
Don't even talk to me.
Uh-oh. Sounds like you're having a moment.
It's not a moment. It's just been one of those days.
Boss, what happened?
So I'm driving around doing errands and stuff. I counted 14 Safe Touch security signs while I was out. 14!
Well, I guess word's out that Safe Touch is the best.
I mean, there's Safe Touch signs in yards, Safe Touch stickers on drive-through windows, Safe Touch on billboards, Safe Touch on the radio. I'm about to lose my mind.
Boss, it's okay. There's still plenty of houses out there without Safe Touch.
Yeah, but the more people hear about the two-way communicator, the guaranteed response time, the crash and smash.
What do kids say these days? Safe Touch is going viral. Kind of funny when you think about it.
Oh, I hate Safe Touch.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Over 300 children in Northeast Florida are currently undergoing cancer treatments. 84% of families whose child is tackling cancer will experience some level of financial hardship. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which is represented by the Gold Ribbon. Find out more about how you can go gold with the Tom Coughlin J Fund to help our neighbors and community members tackling this devastating disease. Visit tcjfund.org/go gold for more info.
Tax problems can be extremely stressful and cause financial devastation. The tax attorneys at J. David Tax Law are right here in Jacksonville to be your personal advocate and resolve your IRS or state sales tax issues. J. David Tax Law focuses on your needs and case outcomes. Don't be fooled by these big out-of-town tax companies that only focus on getting you to sign up and pay without even working with an attorney. At J. David Tax Law, only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you. Get the help you need with tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, and unfiled returns. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, have a sit-down with J. David Tax Law. Never trust your tax situation to anyone you can't walk in and look in the eye. Your first step is a no-cost consultation. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777, 904-507-4777, or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
Hey, Maurice Jones-Drew, how many times did you ask for a trade while you were a player?
I asked one time. I think it was when I was holding out. Kind of was like, hey, if this is the way you feel about me, maybe we can work something where I can go somewhere else.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks
On ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
I think what happens is when you're on that field, for whatever reason, whether it's due to injury or whether it's, guarding for injury or you're a young rookie or whatever it may be, the expectation to you to perform is high. For me, what I would look at is if I have a young player and maybe I didn't show him something during the week and something popped up in the game, hey, let's get better from this. Let's put this in the back of your mind. Let's learn from this. There's a little bit more learning you do, but I think that comes after the game when you're in the film room with the player and during the week.
That's Doug Marrone, my early Coach of the Year candidate. Coos, don't forget to lose that other promo that we had. Make sure that thing gets killed out of the system.
We always keep our receipts,
Coach Marrone.
We always keep our receipts.
You got to rip that receipt up. No expense report on that one, please.
Taxes are coming up. We got to keep your receipts.
By the way, you know what happened today? I lost my credit card. By the way, Doug Marrone's not off.
Music to my ears. You lost your credit card for real?
I think I did. I don't know if I left it in Denver. It's probably at a dispensary.
Hey, are you?
Oh, dear.
Well, are you gonna, cancel it and stuff?
Well, I called today because I really don't want
it.
Yeah, I mean, well, nobody's charged anything to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yet, but I really don't want to go through. Everything's so online now.
That's a good point.
I don't want to have to change it if I find it like in my pants pocket.
Sure.
In a day. So I just stopped it. So anyway, if you find it, go ahead and try to use it. You can't, sucker. But
yeah, it was awful when I lost my wallet with everything in it and had to change everything.
Yeah. I mean, this is not that bad, really. I mean, I'll just have to change a few things, but I'm going to give it a day before I do it.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm pretty good about that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't usually lose that stuff a lot.
It's worse when you know where you left it and then it's gone when you.
I know, and that's what I can't track.
You don't remember, huh?
Yeah.
Nah.
Maybe Brent did go to the dispensary after all.
It's very fun.
Here's the deal.
Hanging out on the stands too often.
I have two cards, and this is not a commercial, but it can be. I have two, I have a Marriott, or like a Visa.
Okay.
Okay. And then I have an American Express, which is technically like a corporate card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got the corporate card.
I'm going to look into that.
So when I go on the road trips, I use the American Express because we'll end up expensing.
Sure.
Unless it's at a dispensary.
Then you just keep it to yourself. Straight cash, homie.
Yeah. So I didn't use my Visa card since like Friday before I left.
But that's the one that's missing.
And that's the one that's missing. So it's a little odd. So I don't really now. I just don't know where I did with it. So anyway, that's my story. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Now, let's go to Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Speaking of receipts. All right. So were you surprised he didn't play?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought for sure the fact that he left his family in Nashville to travel to Denver, I thought it was all but, 100% that he was going to play. I mean, I thought it was just a technicality saying he was questionable. So when it got announced, I think you actually announced it first. I went on Twitter and I saw good call.
Breaking news.
And when I saw he wasn't.
Take that, Schefter.
and when I saw he wasn't playing, man, I was kind of taken back a little bit because I figured in that game he'd be so essential to stopping the Broncos offense. And you could tell they're picking on Trey Herndon a little bit.
They picked on him rightfully so. And, at times he did okay, but he struggled a little bit. And
which is what you'd expect from a guy who hasn't played that much in that kind of spot.
This wasn't just on Herndon that he struggled, and I'm going to pivot back to Ramsey in a moment, but just a thought on Herndon. The front four's got to get pressure, man. I mean, and they didn't. They kept no sacks. And when Flacco's a 34-year-old guy, he's been around. He won a Super Bowl MVP. Now, I understand people don't like him right now. He threw a terrible ball at the end of that half. I mean, if you're in Denver right now, that's the one that changed everything. Yeah. I don't know. They got a huge break throwing that right to Ronnie Harrison. But if you're back there for 3 seconds, you're going to be able to pick anybody apart. I mean, maybe not Ramsey. That's different. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's all on the kid. I mean, Herndon, it was a tough day at times for him.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's all. They got to get more pressure. I mean, you're Saxonville. You are supposed to get to him.
And this is what we'll talk about later on. I mean, let's stay on the Ramsey topic. But we have been talking about the lack of pressure when they just bring their base, packages. Yeah. And that's been evident for the past 3 or 4 games now. And you're still seeing it. So we'll discuss that a little bit later.
Yeah, they're not doing it. So, but through that game, and especially late in that game, you're like, oh, they do miss Ramsey. And so where does I was a little surprised he didn't give it a go.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Because he didn't even go out and do the warm-ups or any of that stuff. It was all kind of determined already that morning.
Yeah, so here's the thing, okay? I'm going to play from the critic side. This isn't necessarily my side.
Yeah.
Because I'm not jumping to this conclusion. I'm not going to make that mistake right now to do it. And I think we talked about it all week. We tried to separate. What we tried to do is separate the weeks.
Yes.
I criticized Ramsey for being selfish in the timing of this thing in the first week. That was pretty much my stance. I also said you got to do whatever the hell you can do as an organization to keep him. That's where I stand on Ramsey in week number 1.
Yes.
In week number 2, the sickness, the tightness of the back, the paternity leave. I mean, I can't criticize. I don't think you can criticize.
It was a lot, but
it was a lot.
They're all justified.
I'm separating the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you want to play conspiracy theorist, you can. So now I'm going to give you that side, though. The conspiracy theory, in my opinion, if you want to say this was all, again, the paternity part is not. I mean, that was a real thing. I think you have to follow Adam Schefter on it if you want to be a critic. And I tell you, go back and look at Schefter's tweets, and I'm not going to do it right now. But go back and look Sunday morning when the Jags had off last week. Pre-game, like in the morning, tweeted about him potentially missing practice on Monday. Didn't say why. What if, kind of threw a scenario out there, he doesn't practice. Could that be the next step? Sunday night, Monday morning, he's not practicing. He's got the flu. Fine. They confirmed it. I mean, he was sick.
And he also said it'd be a huge upset if Jalen Ramsey plays.
Well, that's the next thing. On Monday, he said hehuge upset if he plays on Sunday. Did not note why. Didn't even say tight back. Didn't say because he might have a kid. It was, wait a minute, you got the flu on Monday. How do you already know it might be an upset that he could be not playing on Sunday?
Now, did I go Saturday night on Twitter and put upset alert, retweet it, and kind of talk out to Adam Schefter?
You did.
Yeah, I sure did. Absolutely. Now, to be fair, though, because I got some crap for it, obviously, but to be fair, the term upset alert, it means that
an upset
there
could
may
happen.
or may not be an upset.
That's right.
So I covered my bases.
You did.
So we're okay.
Way to sit on that fence.
I was on board all day on the fence. Please continue.
So then he has the tight back.
Yeah.
And he doesn't practice, fine. And then he goes paternity leave, and really that's one. They had the baby, I think they had it on Thursday. I don't know the exact timing of it, but they had the baby on Thursday. So fine. Makes the effort to go with the team, comes back to Jacksonville. Great. I start thinking he's going to play.
Of course.
I mean, I think there's a lot of pride in number 20, man. I think he's played 51 straight games. I think that's important to him. I think it's important to look good, do everything he said, be with his teammates, all that stuff. Schefter, again, I'm talking from a critic point of view. Schefter on Sunday morning, before they did the Uncle Rico stuff, they had about a 10-minute segment on Ramsey. And in that segment, go back and find the quote, but it sounded something like, he might get I really think he used the word he might. He might get a tight back.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
He might get a tight back. You either have a tight back or you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost like this whole time, Sunday morning of last week, Monday upset if he plays. Sunday morning right before the game, what if he gets a tight back? Might get a tight back kind of phrasing. I think, again, I was pretty consistent with this. I think Schefter opened the door for all the conspiracy theories out there last week when it comes to stuff that you really can't question. Like, again, I don't think it's fair to question it as a team or really for us to even say, hey, well, he wasn't sick or he doesn't have a tight back. Again, I think, and I tweeted this out and I genuinely believe it, Ramsey's a prideful dude, man. He wants to play football. Is he hurting himself, though, from a trade value standpoint, now not playing because he's got a tight back? He had it Wednesday. He had it coming out of the game Thursday night. Now he's got it Sunday. How long's that? If I'm a team that's going to give up 2 first-round picks, and I really want them for this year, because I want to make a run this year. If I'm Kansas City, Philadelphia, one of those teams, or I say, well, is he going to be healthy?
Yeah. You're absolutely right, Brent. We talked about this a little bit, where if you're a team that gets Jalen Ramsey, you're a team that's in Super Bowl contention because you're not going to be on the bottom trying to spend all this draft capita for a Jalen Ramsey type. You just don't do it. So, yes, if you were going to bring Jalen Ramsey in, you need Jalen Ramsey to be 100%, right? You need him to be the shutdown corner and take the one receiver. The last thing you want to do if you're a general manager right now is throw, 2 first-round picks at somebody and maybe another player or whatever, trade that away, and then you bring in a guy that's damaged goods, that has a bad back. And the things with backs, as everybody knows, whether you're a professional player or not, if you have a back, man, that can linger, and it can kind of come out of nowhere. It can, I guess it can sideline you for a couple weeks, and the next week you're fine. But guess what? Then you're sidelined again. Like, it's just, backs are tricky. So, from the standpoint of, is this all gamesmanship from Ramsey's camp? Does he not want to play? Are you trying to protect him? I feel like if you're really trying to protect Jalen Ramsey, if you're trying to, protect the goods, as they say, you wouldn't have flown from Nashville to Denver. I wouldn't see the point in doing that. You would have stayed in Nashville. You would have said, I want to be with my family, all due respect, and I'll see you guys in Carolina. Cool. I don't think anybody would have batted an eye at that. So the fact that he traveled to Denver leads me to believe that he actually wanted to play. I think he actually intended on playing. Now, whether the back is the real deal or not, whatever, I think it is. People are going to tell me that it's not a real thing, but it's like we talked about. If Jalen Ramsey's back is hurting him, like I think it is, if you're a GM, the last thing you want to do is bring him on your team, with all due respect to Jalen Ramsey.
Well, I'll throw this in there. I'm in the same camp as you are, Austin, in the fact that, Brent, you said he's a prideful guy, right? Well, part of that pride says, I'm not going to go out there and put this on tape if I'm not at 100%.
Yeah,
and
fair.
I know he's
Good
done
point.
that in the past where he's played with a nagging injury and he's been beat, and it frustrates you. If you're going out there and you're not at your 100% because you're injured or hurt, and maybe that's that thought process right now where you're thinking, well, I need to show exactly who I am, and if I'm out there at 90%, that's not who I am, and that's not going to represent me.
Some people don't want us talking about this story anymore. I think this story is unbelievable and where it could be. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you could add up all the things. Like I said, I think Schefter helped that narrative to be like,
tinfoil hats.
Whoa, and I even was taken aback at some of the stuff. Again, the Sunday morning stuff, I'll have to go back and listen again, but I'm pretty sure he used the word might get a tight back. What? What? And he has a lot of information. Like you said, it's not about signing the big contract, all that stuff, just wants out. But there's tentacles to this of, did he lose trade value because he's hurt? Did he lose any posturing with the Jags organization yesterday if he sat out injury or no injury or just decided to do this because of what's going on? And the Jags won anyway. So did he kind of lose that game, that bit of gamesmanship?
It's a lot of layers.
You know, I mean, there is that side of it. Now, listen, again, are you going to tell me that the Jags are better off without him? No.
Yeah.
And then I think there's an element of, hey, man, did you guys all see what happened in Denver? Jalen was there.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yeah.
This team's having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Screw the front office, but I want to go have fun with my teammates and play football and stay here. Is there an element of that somehow comes back up?
Well, I'll say this. Possibly, but the fact that he looked emotionally invested into that game, right? He was on the sidelines. He was celebrating, helping out his teammates. Some people are mad because he was jumping up and down.
He was not just in the background.
No, I mean, he was, and you can call it posturing, I guess, if you want. Like, hey, I want people to see I'm a good team. I don't think it's like that at all. I think it's coming from a genuine place. I guess the real question is, how hurt is his back going forward?
Yeah.
And if the Jaguars do trade him, can you still get that top dollar from him if you have a hurt back?
Yeah. One other thought on Ramsey, and then Vontaze Burfict. Did they make the right move? That's coming up next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. Jags pulled a 2-2 for the season yesterday after a dramatic comeback in the Mile High City, resulting in a four-way tie for first in the AFC South Division. Leonard Fournette had a whale of a day, toting the rock for 225 yards and receiving for another 20. All of this while Jalen Ramsey watched from the sideline. Here's Leonard Fournette with praise for his teammates.
Armstead, our coach, did a great job, too. You know, coming in when I needed a break. His breakout game, he stole my touchdown too. So, I mean, I'm happy for everyone all over the board. You know, and despite of the adversity that we have going on, this team is a fighting team, no matter what nobody says.
And it's playoff time in the big leagues with 2 wild card games this week: Milwaukee and Washington tomorrow night, and Oakland and Tampa on Wednesday. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while at work by listening on ESPN690.com.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and can't pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank account, garnish your wages, and place liens against everything you own. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they will resolve your tax issue. Only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you, and fee payment plans are affordable for everyone. Get the protection you deserve. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. The number again, 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Get super savings on over 1,000 vehicles on the lot right now at Arlington Toyota. It's the 2020 Supra Sales Event going on now at Arlington Toyota. Plus, you pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019 Toyotas. You heard right, up to 50% less on remaining pre-owned 2019s. Looking at a 2019 Toyota Camry? It's not $26,000. Now it's only $17,988. That's $17,988 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Camry at Arlington Toyota. Thinking about a 2019 Toyota Corolla? It's not $22,000. No way. Now it's just $13,888. Just $13,888 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Corolla at Arlington Toyota. But Arlington gives you even more with their $5,000 Advantage Club. It comes with your purchase and it's packed with savings, discounts, rewards, and even a national lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles for new purchases. Shop Arlington Toyota today, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/super savings for offer details.
Locally owned and operated businesses give our community character by offering unique options for shopping and dining.
They are a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great.
Shop the 904. Powered by Cox Media Group. Homegrown and ready to help the home team look good on Friday nights and every night in any sport, Baker Sports has been doing just that since 1997. Your team experts offer the top brands like Under Armour and Adidas. Screen print, embroidery, and trophies all done in-house right here in Jacksonville. Baker Sports will get you ready for your big game. Looking good so you can play good. Play ball with your team experts at Baker Sports.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Golic and Wingo.
I don't know if I've ever felt worse for a kid in the league than Josh Rosen, right? It's like deja vu for him. He's going through this all again. We may never know what Josh Rosen could or could not have been because of the two situations he's found himself.
Golic and Wingo. Weekdays at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Hey, it's Mike Golic from Golic and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jax with our friend Brent Martineau on ESPN 690.
Lambeau's kick on the way, right down the middle and good. And the Jaguars beat the Broncos, handing Denver its 8th consecutive loss going back to last season.
Man, 8 in a row. That's amazing. Andrew Catalon on the call on CBS 47. Huge ratings for that game, by the way. Jags ratings have been really good the first month, and especially with the Minshew stuff.
Nice.
Big one last night with the way that thing came down to the wire, and it was a later game. Andrew Catalon, my buddy, from Albany, New York. He doesn't live there anymore, but that's how we get to know each other. Cool. Back in the Albany days, does a great job. And as I say, the only guy I'm jealous of in the business.
Why is that?
Because
careful now. I don't know where this is going, man. I shouldn't ask you.
I mean, he gets to call a lot of good games and a lot of good stuff, and he does a great job.
I thought we were getting into contract disputes or something.
No, there are times where like, man, I wish I could have taken that path instead of sitting here with Kuz and Austin Lane.
I know, right? You're stuck with us, man. Yeah, it is what it is.
All right, let's get back. One thought about Ramsey.
Sunshine and rainbows.
One more thought about Ramsey as we really last segment of the show, but I want to hit a lot of different things. I got so many thoughts, but we got all week to talk about them. I asked you coming in today because I waited for Ramsey to see if he would warm up for that game yesterday.
Yeah.
Come out, test the back. He's listed as questionable. And what I see a lot of times is guys that don't play, they'll maybe get a little work in or try to do some stuff with Milo, but he wasn't out there for that. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe he's going to come out and test this thing out. They decide whether he plays or not. And so I'm thinking kind of, well, why isn't he even testing it out if he's questionable? You know, does he already know he just can't go? Yeah. Or would you try to see if you could go? Well, he didn't do that on Sunday. But you shed a little bit of light on it for me. That's more something you've dealt with this before. You've been in these situations where you'll probably do more on a Saturday walkthrough.
Yeah, so, I mean, at least this is how it worked when I had my Liz Frank injury, was the fact that we'd go out Saturday and, you know, before practice or after practice, and then I would go with Mike Ryan, who was our head trainer at the time, and he would just kind of take me through a little gauntlet, right? Like, he'd take me in and out of my stance. I would work some pass rush moves to see where the foot was at. And, you know, I had to be truthful, and if it was fine, then yeah, we're good to go. If it was like, I don't know, man, still a little sore, well, then we had to up the treatment Saturday night, if it's an away game, then up the treatment at the hotel. If it's a home game, up the treatment at the stadium. And then Sunday was kind of a wait and see thing. Come out Sunday and see where we're at with the situation. So, yeah, the fact that, you know, I mean, Ramsey, like Stewart said, I think you said as well, where he didn't really come out Sunday to warm up or anything to kind of see where the back was at. Well, either they tried it Saturday and they kind of knew what was up. He woke up the next morning and just said, yeah, there's no way I can go out there, or something along that nature. But usually they have a good idea Saturday is of what the guys are going to do.
Yeah, and Jags weren't saying much. They didn't say much until inactives came out. Now, I mean, words started to trickle down. I mean, we kind of heard, but not reportable, that he wasn't going to go. So, anyway, we'll see where it goes. I don't know. Does he play this week in Carolina? Does he get back on the practice field? Is it business as usual? They've won 2 games. I tell you what, man, again, it goes back to Doug Marrone. He's done a fantastic job. And I don't want to just give Doug the credit. I give their players credit because the players have done a nice job, and they do acknowledge it. I've talked to enough guys now in the last 2 weeks where I know I even tweeted yesterday, right? Distraction might be the most overplayed thing, and you've been on that train for a long time. But even when you don't ask a question related to Jalen, some of the players be like, we've had a lot of stuff going on around here. That's how they preface an answer.
Yeah.
Which means, all right.
Well, yeah.
They're hearing the noise. They're curious, too, what is going on. So I just feel like they've done a great job of handling the distraction. Is it a distraction to some degree? I think the answer is absolutely.
Of course.
But is it infiltrating enough to distracts from being focused and going to play. Like you said, when you get out there on Sundays, man, it's all about playing. Whoever's out there, you go play, you go do your best.
Exactly.
They're not thinking about that, and I think you're right on the money because they've won 2 games.
Exactly. And listen, on the field, it's obvious, right? Like, you're not going to think about a coworker that's not there if you're on the field playing a ball game. You can't do that because it's that intense. But to be fair, though, Brent, you may be thinking about it if you're prepping for an opponent, right? Like if you're watching film, if you're on the practice field, if you're going through walkthroughs, if you're game planning with your coach, like that may cross your mind. I mean, it's almost like, how could it not, right? Like, especially nowadays, like, listen, when I played, those things would cross your mind a little bit. Well, now it's amplified like to the nth degree just because with social media, with the talking heads being heard 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So that's on Doug Marrone, though. Like, whether they're in meetings, whether they're prepping for an opponent, he shields that out, at least for the most part. You would think he shields it out because the performance on the field has been pretty outstanding. So you would think that their preparation is good, their practicing has been going good. I think the overall team dynamic has been going good, and that's all Doug Marrone type things.
Yeah, they've done a good job with it, and we'll see where it goes, and we'll see where Jalen gets back on the field or not. All right, let's just talk about this defense quickly.
Sure.
Rapid fire, we got a ton to get to. Listen, you have to give credit for the defense, too. They gave up 17 points. We talked about probably the illegal screen play. It should have been called legal man downfield. Mm-hmm. But they didn't look good in the first half. Not good enough. And then they found themselves in the second half. That third quarter, they got a quick 3 and out. Obviously, they weren't on the field a bunch in the third quarter, but all the way up until the end with 3 minutes to go, Broncos really didn't do much. Yeah. Until that final drive, I want to say the Broncos in the second half had between 30 and 50 yards of total offense. That was it. Mm-hmm. Now, Jags gave up a bunch in the first half. They were really picking them apart, and some of it was with ease.
Yeah.
Then why the end? I mean, I want that defense out on the field in that situation. Why? I can see a field goal. Listen, that's the NFL. You give up, if it's a field goal game, it's easy to get in field goal range in the NFL. It feels like. Mm-hmm. Maybe 7 out of 10 times people do it, whether it's penalties, whether it's just one big play to get you there. But to give up a touchdown, they had a touchdown lead, a touchdown in that spot. I think that's concerning.
Yeah. The biggest concern that I took away from I took a couple of concerns on that defense, Brent, but I think the biggest one, and we've been talking about this time and time again, is the fact that when they rush just 4 guys straight up, they cannot generate pressure, and to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense because it's like the Denver Broncos. They didn't have any sacks until yesterday. They come out and Von Miller and Chubb, they have a great game. Well, the Jaguars should do the same thing, right? Like, they have the pass rushers to be successful. You have Calais Campbell, you have Darius, you have a stud in Josh Allen, and you have Yannick Ngakoue, who may be playing a little bit hurt, but keep in mind, this guy's playing for a contract. I mean, he's playing for a new deal.
That's a different story.
And we'll get into that sometime this week because it's got to be addressed.
It's starting to become a story.
We got to address it. So when you have those 4 guys, and they're not generating the pressure, it's a little alarming. Now, they have generated pressure with bringing some blitzes, whether it's the linebackers coming in and dropping a defensive tackle or whoever it is, or dropping, Josh Allen, dropping Yannick. So they have been creating pressure, but when it's just straight up and you're in the base defense, you're not getting the pressure, it does make you a little nervous. And I get it, Brent. It works hand in hand. The coverage and the pass rush work hand in hand. And yes, Trey Herndon did get picked on a little bit, right? But at the same time, if you watch some of those plays, Flacco had 3.5 seconds. Flacco had 4 seconds. He's not a mobile dude. He's not a mobile guy. He just stands in the pocket, he does his thing. And unfortunately, the Jaguars didn't get home a lot. So going forward, that is a little alarming.
They did. They were smart, too. They got the ball out of his hands at times. There were some times where he sat back there, but there are a lot of dump-offs to the running back. Freeman, they really used the middle of the field. They were able to do some quick game kind of things to offset the Jaguars and keep them off balance. I thought it was a pretty well-called game in the first half for the Broncos. And really, again, they win that game maybe going away if Flacco doesn't make the huge mistake. He just airmailed the guy.
And to be fair, I was more worried about the run game for the Broncos, right? Like, they're a run-first team. Yeah. At least I was led to believe, and I thought the Jaguars did a pretty good job stopping Lindsey, stopping Freeman for the most part. But then when a team can just pass like that, it makes you a little nervous because, the Carolina Panthers, they're a run-first team as well, but they have Christian McCaffrey, who's good in the pass game, and then the Saints coming in, and you saw with Teddy last night. Teddy can still sling the ball a little bit, and they have the capable receivers. So
the good thing is neither offense scares the heck out of you.
True.
I mean, I know they've got some players, but Kamara and McCaffrey scare you.
Yeah.
Outside of that, Michael Thomas. But still, with the quarterbacking that they have, that doesn't scare you right now.
Very
I know
true.
Kyle Allen's done a nice job. Teddy Bridgewater's done a nice job. job, doesn't scare you. And
But
probably,
to be
by the
fair-
way, Gardner Minshew probably doesn't scare other teams either,
Yeah.
but right now the mania might.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe Flacco didn't scare me either coming in this game, but
Yeah.
the first half, I was a little frightened a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we hit on the defense. Vontez Burfict. Let's get around the NFL real quick, and then we got stay in your lane, and still want to wrap up a couple of thoughts about Minshew and Fournette. So, oh boy, can we extend the show today? Vontez Burfict, right or wrong, should he have been suspended for the entire league? Entire year, sorry.
Yeah, Bren, I always have the player side, right? But this is one of those instances where this guy's got a history. This isn't the first time we've heard his name. And if you rewatch that play, sure, you can say it wasn't that, intense, but I think it had malicious intent, and this is listen, I'm not knocking Burfict because if he was born 20 years ago, if he was playing in a different generation.
Shoot, he might be a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. He'd be featured on NFL Crunch Course. They'd be narrating all his crazy hits, and then the drums playing in the background. Boom, 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 and here comes Burfict again. Like, listen, and I say the same thing with Sue all the time as well. Like, Sue was born in the wrong era. If Sue would have been born 20 years ago, he'd been celebrated. But unfortunately, this is a new era, and this is just the way it is. And either you adapt or you die. And I said that figuratively speaking, obviously, but either you adapt or you're not going to be around anymore. Unfortunately, for Burfict, man, he hasn't adapted, and it's another classic example where you can't do that.
I'm weird on this one too.
I know, and I was surprised to hear this from you.
I don't think you should be suspended for the year for it. Yeah. I really don't. I think it's too much. Mm-hmm. I think that's a little crazy. I think you could have. I think a handful of games, given a history, you tack on. Let me just ask you this. Mm-hmm. A guy that does that, gets ejected from a game, what would he have gotten, anybody else, if it's just average Joe guy, ejected from the game, malicious intent, bad hit, and he'd get maybe another game?
I would say he'd probably get 2 games, and you can appeal that. You probably get 1 game maximum.
So maybe 1 game.
Yeah, I say 1 game.
So I understand the resume. I understand that you've made your own bed. You're a bad dude, really. You're not. And again, I hate to stick up for a bad guy. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I was a little surprised at that. And there was malicious intent. Like, the hit wasn't like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he kind of gears up for it,
well, especially when the guy's kind of on the ground,
is him. That's him. Mm-hmm. And I would just say, here's my test. 14-year-old Ty, who does not know the history of Burfict.
Sure.
It's like, he got suspended for the year for that?
Yeah.
And so I think from a common sense standpoint, it makes no sense to be suspended for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But again, habitual offenders are habitual offenders, and that does take some place. I will just say I disagree with the league here. Yeah. And I feel almost disgusting for kind of sticking up for Burfict in this case, but I think it's a crazy precedent to set to start with the 12-game suspension for a hit in a violent game. I think it's a bad precedent to set.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically you're taking money out of the guy's pocket for the whole year now.
And I don't care about him. I really don't. He's made his own bed.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care about his pocketbook.
Sure.
I mean, to me, to everything from afar, he's an ass. I mean, he's a bad dude and a player that plays it at a reckless way. And I'm sorry if that sounds contradictory to saying, well, I don't think he should be suspended for the year. I'm talking from an NFL standpoint, from a press. Where's the cutoff?
No,
Where's the cutoff for the next guy that does it?
Yeah.
Should he be suspended 4 games?
Yeah.
Suspended 8? Wait, he did it one other time. Now it's a 6-game suspension. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, but he's done it twice, and he's been fined $100,000 over whatever it might be. Oh, now he's suspended for the year. I think it's dangerous.
No,
it's a bad precedent for the NFL.
And listen, it's hard for me, right? Because, like, I watched those NFL Crunch Course videos. I celebrated those big hits. I celebrated, giving a little extra right there. How do you feel about that? Like, I'm all for that, man. It's football. It's a physical game. But I can't be naive to the fact that the game, as far as the landscape's concerned with the rules, it's changed so drastically. Like, you can't defenseless receivers. The quarterback is the most protected guy in the world. It's things like that where if you can't get with the program, man, unfortunately, they're not going to let you play the game anymore. And that's where Burfict's at right now.
Yeah. One last thing.
Yeah.
And I think we always have to keep this in mind. It is you know this better than me, but I feel for players sometimes on these helmet-to-helmet hits. Again, this one had malicious intent to it. Mm-hmm. But the game goes so fast, and you're trying to make a play. And sometimes people's bodies, now this one wasn't. That's what I'm saying. I'm not apologizing for this one.
Okay.
But sometimes, like, I feel like when some of the helmet-to-helmet stuff in college football too, when the quarterback is like making a move and his target area drops down and you still get busted for it.
Yeah.
And it's to me that's a little unfair.
No, for sure.
But that's why you have to be really careful with malicious intent versus not. And I think that's where the game changes. And this one had malicious intent. Kick him out of the game, great. Suspend him, and then suspend him on top of that because he's been really a bad guy in the league when it comes to this stuff. But the year's too much. Just too much, in my opinion. All right, get to stay in your lane, and then we'll wrap up the show with a couple quick thoughts on Minshew and Fournette. But we got 6 minutes to go.
Okay, hurry up. So stay in your lane, cruise control.
I just think listen, we got 92 seconds to go.
Okay.
We're Gardner Minshew running the 2-minute offense. We got
mustache
Lambo.
is looking great.
Don't worry, later on, I'm Lambo to finish off the show.
Okay, I got you.
You're all right, man.
All right.
Have some poise in the pocket.
All right, I'm poison in the pocket. Well, I don't know, Brent. I've been sacked 6 times today, man. What do you want from me? I'm a little nervous. So cruise control, Brent. The definition of staying in your lane and knowing who to go after and who to leave alone is about to be exemplified in this audio thing as Kuz is looking at me like he doesn't have it. Do you have it?
I don't know which one you want.
Oh, I'm setting it up, dude. So, Brendan, this is a Falcons fan addressing his team in the tunnel.
As they were running back in?
For halftime, yes. And just check this out as the Falcons are getting embarrassed and in their own house by the Tennessee Titans.
What you do? Hey, tighten up. Oh, you tighten up. Hey, Harris, Matt. Hey, man, all y'all tighten up. What y'all doing out there? Sean, we might need you. Cause Matt playing like some doo-doo. Hey, y'all tighten up, man. Straight up. It's the 4th game. Sanu, hey, Mr. Consistent. I see you, big dog. Hey, Sanu the big real. Hey, Matt, tighten up, homie.
They
Hey,
didn't
I need
stop
y'all
this
to
guy.
get in the game. Get your ass in the game.
Julio
You,
Jones, though?
Don't be
Who are they?
looking back at me. I'll come back there. Hey, I'll tackle you. I'll show you how to tackle.
Where's
Tighten
Julio?
up. Let's go, man. Grady, we need you out there, big dog. Hey, Grady, bit a dog. Julio. Hey, you a dog, Julio. I got nothing to say Julio about Julio.
Smart man.
By the way, forget about the NFL halftime shows. You should just go to this guy from now on.
Rip the players as they walk by. Number one, shout out to the players for not retaliating because, listen, if you're getting beat that bad at home and you got a fan talking to you like that, it's pretty easy to say something back to him.
Not a shout out to the security who let him go for
them.
that long.
Yeah. And a funny part, too, is when the cheerleaders are walking by at the end, he actually gave a shout out to the cheerleaders and said, you guys are doing good with those pom-poms. Keep it up. So props to that dude. And obviously not going after Julio because, once again, you got to stay in your lane sometimes.
All right. How about a little pump your brakes?
So this real quick, one of my friends sent this story to me, this rant to me, and I didn't even know it existed. But this took place last week. A guy by the name of Jason Whitlock went on a little tirade talking about Jalen Ramsey. And Kuz, I'm just play it and I'll kind of talk over it and we can stop it when we have to stop it. But just check this out here and see what you think.
Part of his ongoing trade demand, Jalen Ramsey is taking a maternity leave from football. I'd have more respect for him if he were taking the leave to assist with wedding preparations. Yeah, I said it. Any woman you can have 2 babies with is a woman worthy of marriage. I have no respect for what Jalen Ramsey is doing.
Stop right there real quick. So Jason Whitlock, by the way, when he came out with this rant, he prefaced this by saying, I don't want to sound like an old guy here, but usually when you start a sentence like that, something bad's coming. So immediately I'm like, oh, here we go.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Can't wait to hear this. Can't wait, Jason. What do you got for us? Go ahead, Brent. You be honest?
No, that's another one of those things.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you here.
So off the bat, Whitlock's talking about how he doesn't, respect Ramsey because he's having a second child with a woman that he's not married to. Please continue, Kuz. Sorry.
Father being present at the birth of a child is about the father, not about the child. If Jalen Ramsey wants to do something that will benefit that child, he should stand before family, friends, and God and commit to marrying the mother of his soon-to-be 2 children. He's using his unborn child to shirk the commitment he made to the NFL and his 52 teammates on the Jaguars. Jalen doesn't want to play on the Jaguars anymore. He's taking his ball and going home.
Stop. Okay, so first of all, dude, this isn't like even fun to make, like to joke because is this a sports show or is this an ethics show where you're trying to like have like a family intervention? I come from a family who my mom wasn't married when she had me. I didn't have my son with my now wife when we were married. Like, you literally stay in your lane, Jason Whitlock. You can't come out and like question someone's family stuff like that. Now this gets worse. I know we're short on time, but then he goes into Ramsey, fake being sick. Well, that was proven. Ramsey had IVs. He was actually sick. You're not just going to get IVs for the heck of it and put on this whole facade. So just if you want to check this out or not check it out, I really don't care. I wouldn't check it out because it made me upset, pissed me off. But Jason Whitlock, not a good look by you, man.
Yeah, listen. Here's the deal. Last week, of all the things, we've already talked about this at length for the really last 2 weeks, but even some of these things, there are some things you really can't question. And even of all the things that happened last week, the tightness in the back, the sick part, this is the one you really can't. We're really diving into whether a guy should go home to see the birth of his child or not, whether he's married or not.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I get today's world. I understand. We want everybody to watch and listen. And I just tweeted at Jason Whitlock to say,
call them out.
No, but I just said we're doing the segment on it. Yeah. And so, I mean, maybe that helps him. Maybe it helps us.
Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
what he wants, man.
Maybe that's what it is. And I understand
then you're welcome, Jason. You got some more views on your thing.
TMZ's made a living off stuff like that. There's things, but that, to me, that's kind of where the line crosses. Yeah. And really the relationship part of this was so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, whether you're married or not, or why you go home or not. If you're going to see the birth of your kid, you're going to see the birth of your kid.
Listen, it's like I've mentioned many times in this show. You can question a player maybe with his injuries if you want to. You can question if the guy was sick or not, but never, ever, and I'm telling any sports journalist, any sports person out there, being a former player myself in the NFL locker room, never, never, ever, ever question a player's family. I'm just trying to help you guys out. That's all I'm trying to do.
Hey, don't question Minshew Mania either, because it's for real. We'll talk more about it, of course, all week long, as the Jaguars are now 2-2. Tonight, Top Golf, 7 o'clock, CBS 47, or come on out. Chris Conley will join us. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey, boss.
What?
You think it's okay out of here yet?
No, the cops may be still patrolling around out there. Give it another 10 minutes.
Okay.